You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in. Welcome into our program tonight. We've got Gilbert Gonzalez. Well, the name of his program is Tale of Two Witnesses, and he's got his brother Jesse that'll be on with him. But Gilbert's doing a great job. He's burning the midnight oil, hit the six screens. So let's bring Gilbert on right now and say hello to Gilbert Gonzalez. Hello, Gilbert.
Hey, that's me. That's my name. Don't wear it out.
That's you. Well, Gilbert, I'll tell you, I think we got a good night for you tonight. A lot of people coming into the six screens. So I know you got a lot to talk about. Just share with the audience what you'll be doing tonight.
Hey, I want to be talking about, the Awake magazine is dead, right? They put it aside. But what Robert Kennedy is talking about, the poison in our food affects everybody, especially the children. And I want to just show the Jehovah's Witnesses that Watchtower has your hands tied up like handcuffs. You can't do anything about nothing. And this is what it means to wait on Jehovah. It means you're not going to do anything, and Jehovah's not going to fix any problems. And we're just encouraging Jehovah's Witnesses, hey, we're not talking religion. We're not talking about your political views. We're just saying your hands are handcuffed. And once you come to that realization, maybe you can do something productive with your life. So
well, very good. So what I'm doing, Gilbert, I'm putting up right now. I'm putting up the link so people can come on video or just on sound.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that up now so that they'll be able to do that. I'll put that up so they'll be able to see it. So looking forward to the program. So I'm here if you need me, but I'll get that right up for you. So I'm here. If you need me, just let me know. I'll come right to your calling and get things straightened out. Thank you, Gilbert.
Oh, wow. Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And so, hey, guys, welcome to the show. I'm sending my brother the invite right now as we speak. And just to get started, every time we start the show in my channel, we like to start it like this.
Hey, Dean, how you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
Hi, guys. That was a great way to start a show. Hey, one of the things that I was mentioning earlier is a lot of people, they say, I don't want to talk about politics. This has nothing to do with politics. This has everything to do with our health. And one of the problems that everyone can agree on is that there's chemicals in our food that are not in the same food in other countries. So you may ask yourself, Gilbert, why is that? Well, that's what Robert Kennedy is talking about. So you say, well, Gilbert, I don't want to talk about politics. This has nothing to do with politics. This has something to do with whether or not we have cancer or we don't have cancer. Now, this is the premise. Hey, Jesse, I wanted to show Jesse this slide. And this is scary, Rick. I did this slide off of artificial intelligence. I went to AI. Check this out, Rick, Jesse, everybody in watching. I went to artificial intelligence and I said, make me a magazine cover, the Awake magazine, with poisoning our food. And that's what they came up with, the Awake magazine. So the point I'm trying to make is that Watchtower told us that they stopped producing the Awake magazine. They brought in a brand new guy, and he's a real estate governing body member. And what my point is this: what the real estate governing body member is not going to use the Awake magazine to show Jehovah's Witnesses how I made my millions off real estate and how you can too. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? The new member of the governing body says, I made millions of dollars on real estate, and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing. No. what I'm saying is this. I'm going to put the other one. This is why, like I say, I'm GG for GB. If you elect me for governing body member at ggforgb.com, I bring back the Awake magazine. And in the Awake magazine, you have 32 pages to let everybody know. Imagine this. You have 32 pages to let everybody know all of the chemicals that are, giving us cancer. And talking about the dangers of the chemicals and the colorings in our food, where they come from, how corporations, instead of paying money to get rid of their waste, are selling their waste, and they're putting it in the food and the water. So what I told Rick earlier is I would join the Jehovah's Witnesses, I would buy the Awake magazine, and I would distribute it far and wide. So what I'm saying is, Jesus gives us coins, and he wants us to put them to good use. Here you have a religious organization that has these coins, right? Printing presses and a lot of other things. And instead of using their talents to benefit mankind, they have handcuffed everybody. Now, that was you, Jesse. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go right here, top issues. If you go to this webpage, look at this. Look at this webpage, Jesse. Make America Healthy Again. And Robert Kennedy says, left isn't better, right isn't better, better is better. Independent of the broken two-party system and the corporate corruption of our government, Robert Kennedy will pursue policies in the best interest of America. You may be saying, Gilbert, I don't want to get involved in politics. Don't. Why don't you take action and help people stop sending young ones to war? In Ukraine, the Jehovah's Witnesses are hiding from the military that are trying to conscript them into war. But you can't do anything about that. You can't do anything about getting rid of the toxic chemicals in the food. This is the whole point, Jesse, is that all of these Jehovah's Witnesses, they can't do a thing. They can't do anything to stop any problem that is happening in the earth right now. And this is what waiting on Jehovah means. Waiting on Jehovah means you don't do anything and we'll do whatever we want, whether it be on a corporate level, government level, and so forth. So there's a theory, and Alex Jones is the one that talks about it, that these globalists want to kill you because you deserve to be killed. Why? Because you do not do nothing. You don't fight back. So they have every right to kill you. You don't care. You don't want to get involved in politics. You don't care about what's happening with your food, with your water, with your education. And so what I'm trying to say is this attitude that you have, a lot of people have, I don't want to get involved in politics. We're not talking politics here. We're talking about chemicals in the water, chemicals in the food that can potentially harm us. And if you don't understand that, how then can you fight Watchtower when it comes to the Australian Royal Commission on child abuse? How can you fight the Jehovah's Witnesses when it comes to their lending practices of lending money for kingdom halls, receiving payments, and then stealing the deed? See, if you have that attitude, well, I can't get involved. Well, no, we have to get involved. Now, I'm not telling you where to get involved. Jesse and I don't pretend to tell you what to do, but we're giving you a spirit like you saw in that web page. What can I do? Well, Robert Kennedy gives you a whole bunch of things that you can do. And if you don't want to work with Robert Kennedy, there may be somebody else that you can work with. But that's the whole point. Waiting on Jehovah is a recipe for death. Because you're going to just be a sitting duck. And they're going to, and the angels and the demons are going to say, hey, this guy deserves to die. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. But we want to keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Everybody knows that I'm a Republican. And even when I was a Jehovah's Witness elder in Yuma, Spanish congregation, I was a Republican. Everybody knows that. And Now, doesn't mean that I go to the Republican parties. Doesn't mean I get invited to give any speeches at the Republican Party. Doesn't mean that I go have cocktails with the Republicans. But I was a Republican at heart, you know. And that's one thing I think Jehovah's Witnesses don't understand and Robert Kennedy don't understand. For example, let's say you're an African American slave in 1860. Don't you thank God that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican?
Yeah.
Let's say you're a capitalist in 1983. Don't you thank God that Ronald Reagan was a Republican?
Yeah.
If you were a cowboy, don't you thank God Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when on D-Day, June 6, 1944, don't you thank God that Dwight David Eisenhower was a Republican? So the thing is, the Republican Party, let's just get this straight. It's not politics. It's a tool we use to get a job done. It's not ideology. I don't think the Jehovah's Witnesses understand that. For example, if there's a Jehovah's Witness out there who says, well, we don't get involved in politics. I understand. You don't get involved in electoral politics. We understand that point. You don't. But if you're saying that Jehovah's Witnesses are not involved in politics, go read jw.org. All they do is quote the Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
All they quote, the United Nations. Go look at the latest front page, not this one, but the one last week. The first two news articles were from the United Nations and the World Health Organization. To say that the Jehovah's Witnesses are not political, they're the definition of political. Look, all is fair in love and war. If you think that nothing is politics, that's how you're going to die. Those who live by the sword will die by the sword. Politics is everything. It's in the cereal that we eat. It's in our air conditioners. It's in our health. It's in our air filters. It's in our cars. It's in our gasoline. Politics is everywhere. Now, I understand what you're saying. You don't get involved in electoral politics. That's different. But don't say you're not involved in politics. Politics is everything. And that's one of the problems I have with Robert Kennedy. You know I love Robert Kennedy. You know I hold his uncle and his dad in the highest esteem. They're greater men than I could ever dream of being. Yes, I understand that point. But Robert Kennedy has a problem with the Republican Party. The Republican Party is the only one who gives his sorry ass a chance.
Yeah.
You think he would have a little bit of, love towards it.
Yeah.
And he has, because he sacrificed everything. But he should understand, hey, you know what? I got this point about making America healthy again. And isn't it ironic that the only people that I am embarrassed of, you know how you always talk about people are embarrassed of Jesus? People are embarrassed to be Republicans. Mm-hmm. But they go to the Republican Party to go get heard. It's the only place where the freedom of speech is still readily accessible.
In today, yeah, and that's the whole point. And that's what we should be focusing on, Jesse. That when you go to a place that's like the Jehovah's Witnesses, where a different opinion, you're kicked out, that should bring up red flags for you. But for all of the faults that we have as humans, at least in this party or this place, we can go and we can fight it out. And like they say, at the end of the day, right, we can be friends. We can drink. We could have communion. We could do whatever, and then go our separate ways. And that's very, very important, because a lot of people are not of that fold. A lot of people are still like Jehovah's Witnesses. If you don't agree with me, then you're disfellowshipped. And that, no, you can't build that way. And you're right. Robert Kennedy, he's made a lot of steps. He's almost home. But listen, before we keep going further on that point, I brought up what you said about Watchtower on sharing the screen of the Watchtower article that you sent me. And here she says she wants help for victims of domestic abuse. Oh, how pretty. What a beautiful article. Watchtower always comes out with beautiful little titles. Beautiful picture. Poor sister. She's been abused, right, domestically. They want us to get into our feelings mode. But let's go on to the next page. Violence against women is a global public health problem of epidemic proportion, requiring urgent action, says the World Health Organization. 30% of all women get, physically, sexually abused. A UN report estimates that in 1 year, 137 women died each day around the world. in the hands of the partner or another family member. So, you see, they use that picture. Oh, she's so pretty. Sexual abuse, so bad. But it's a diversion. It's a trap, like in Star Wars. It's a trap. They don't really care about her. What they care about is having in their articles the UN quote, because they have to quote the United Nations. All of these NGOs, all of these groups turn in their homework papers to the UN and say, look, UN, here's my homework paper. Look at all of these articles we wrote, and we quoted you as the authority. Right? That's how they get part of their good graces. Go ahead.
Gilbert, if you go anywhere in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to any health shelter, if you go to any battered women's shelter, if you go to any victims advocacy groups in the United States, it doesn't matter, not politics, just people who are actually dealing with domestic abuse, sexual abuse. You have some of the greatest people on earth. You know, in the Bible, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we read that the only form of worship that is approved by God is to take care of the orphans and the widows. Mm-hmm. Did you know today in 2024, there are people out there who will never, ever, ever get their name in the newspaper. They will never be on CNN. They will never be on Fox News, that are taking care of orphans and widows, mm-hmm. that are taking care of abused women, that are taking care of abused children. There's people who are adopting babies that don't have mom and dads. Mm-hmm. They will never be in any newspaper. Nobody will ever interview them. The Watchtower will never do an article on them. And the Watchtower goes and quotes as the main source for their news, the effing United Nations. Mm-hmm. The one they called the Great Whore. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget, the Watchtower and the United Nations do not have a good history. Why in the hell? It was kind of like, remember you said that one time there was this girl in the Jehovah's Witness apostate movement that she was always fighting with men, and then she would give a good comment on their video, and the brother would say, "Hey man, you were just accusing me of being a creep last week, and now you want to be our friend." The Watchtower was calling the United Nations the whore, mm-hmm. and now they want to quote them as a reputable news source. Watchtower has a lot of explaining to do for this. And a lot of people say, "Hey, Jesse, calm down. No, it's over and over. And next week they're going to do it again. And the next week they're going to do it again."
No, I think Watchtower called the United Nations the beast that went down into the ocean, which was the League of Nations, and the beast comes back out of the sea, which was the United Nations, because Noor got wind of it in New York. They told him. They gave him the New World Translations, coincidentally, that the United Nations were coming back on track. So everybody knew it, you know. Anybody who did real estate in New York knew that property was being sold to the United Nations. They saw the building going up. But the point is, yeah, a whore and a beast. That's pretty bad.
Go back to that video. Go back to that page.
What page?
Not the woman, but the article from Watchtower itself, jw.org.
Oh, hold on. Don't tell me what to do. I'm the one in charge. Okay.
Let me ask you. Can you put it back?
I'm just saying that to kill time because I'm trying to find it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that it? Let's go to full screen.
Second page. Yeah, there it is. Violence against women in a public health problem epidemic proportion, requiring urgent, says the World Health Organization. Now, nobody, you could say, Jesse, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's people on the ground in every state, in New York, in all the 50 states, in all the countries, who are assisting battered women, who are helping. And then I'm sure there's Jehovah's Witnesses themselves who are helping victims. I'm sure there's Catholics that are helping. I'm sure there's so many people that they could have interviewed within their circle of friends to give a real life illustration. Instead, they go to the United Nations. This is a slap in the face to even the Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, because there's people who have devoted their lives.
Become a printing company for the UN.
Yeah, go ahead. How do you explain?
Go ahead, Pixie.
Explain it to us. We agree with you, but explain it better.
Well, because you know they are a widely printed and distributed magazine worldwide, right? We all
Yes.
know that because
Yes.
we used to hawk it door to door.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we
if
agree.
the UN wanted to get their pamphlet out there, what better group to use?
Okay. Great point. Great point. My question to you then is
And I
this.
have 2 more points, and then I'll listen.
Okay.
Um,
No, that's
read
good.
the
Stay
Robert
on this
Malone
topic.
book that
Stay on that topic.
this is on the topic.
Okay.
The Robert Malone book.
What about Robert Malone?
He's got a brand new book, and he talks about how Bobby Kennedy, what he's going to, Junior is going to try to do, and then he talks about what the UN is going to try to do, and journalistically, he's got everything spelled out in the way that the newspapers just don't. So I suggest his book to you. And I knew a European sister years ago that said, well, why doesn't the Awake have a story about the food in Europe that we eat that they don't have here? So I think this is a wonderful topic and a wonderful idea. But the thing is, the globalists don't want us to have good food. They've got it, but they don't want us to have it.
Correct. Yes. Yes,
So
I
I'll
agree.
listen in, but I suggest that book to you guys.
Okay,
Okay,
we will.
I-
What was
I
the
see-
name of it? What was the name of it?
I got it right here, Jesse. But
Gosh, it's something, New World Order or something. It's Robert Malone. It's on Amazon.
Dr. Robert Malone, correct?
I got it right here. But hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
So you were going to ask Pixie a question.
That was a great call. Man, that was a great call. Great call. I wanted to go back to what the correlation she put with the Watchtower and JW. I know the United Nations is a big organization and the Watchtower is a small fish. Is there any collusion between the two? Is what I was trying to was going to ask her.
Of course, there's a collusion. They're members with the United Nations. I mean,
Now,
they-
a reasonable person can see that. But put yourself in the mind of Jehovah's Witnesses. They read jw.org. They're at every corner going to jw.org. They can't see it.
Correct.
Our brothers and sisters who are still there, they can't say, man, why did it gets under our skin? It doesn't get under our brothers and sisters' skin that they're quoting the United Nations as a reputable news source.
Well, it's starting to, because like Pixie's saying, women are finding, their kids, they're eating these foods and they're hearing the stories about red number 4, red number 40, and yellow number 5. But I don't know if you're there, Pixie, so I'm just going to show you some. I said, this is what the Watchtower should be doing. They should be bringing back the Awake magazine and letting everybody know what's happening. And the reason I mentioned that is because of this. There's a guy, his name is Mike Adams, and he has a website called Natural News. Now, he's a really good authority when it comes to our food laced with ingredients. He's a scientist, a food scientist. Great website, and he has great information. The people that have millions of views, like on YouTube and other places in social media, they go to him to get information because he's the scientist with the labs and with the lab results, right? And so he also knows how to translate other people's work, and he tells people, look, this is what these products and the damage that they're causing. What I'm saying is this. If Watchtower brought back the Awake magazine and partnered with people who can write articles and talk to us about the poisoning of our food, why does Watchtower not do that? Why does Watchtower not do that? But they'll, like that picture before, they'll print an article that's only 1-2 paragraphs long that talks about, say, domestic abuse or the poisoning of our planet, but it's only 1 paragraph long, Jesse. You got 32 pages, and all you do is you have a pretty woman sitting on a bridge, pier, and just looking. It's empty. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that if you're a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not arguing with you about your beliefs. What I'm saying is that you are a religion that can't do nothing. Your opinion doesn't matter because you don't do anything at the end of the day. And you have the opportunity. You have the Awake magazine that you can produce in the millions. Imagine just in the United States, Jesse, we could have 1 million of these magazines printed and distributed. The Jehovah's Witnesses have the ability to help Robert Kennedy and Mike Adams and all of these other people get Glenn Beck, all of these people get that message out. Well, what do? They write a 2-paragraph article, they quote the United Nations, and then they say Jehovah's going to fix it in the new system. That's it.
Mhm.
That's your religion. And that's what we're trying to say here. Well, I'm trying to say here anyways.
No, I agree with you. That's what I'm seeing. And that's the same thing in every article at jw.org. If you go to every article on jw.org, it seems to be saying that they say it more eloquently than that, but basically it's wait on Jehovah. Jehovah's going to fix this. So they present a litany of problems. Every problem that we're facing as mankind, let's say the war in Israel and Iran, Jehovah's going to fix it. The war in the Ukraine, Jehovah's going to fix it. The everything, domestic abuse, everything, Jehovah. That is their answer to everything. They don't fix nothing. They don't clean up their own street. Nothing that they do. They pawn it off. They're like that one evil slave. They go and bury their talent into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
No, Jehovah, I know you're a rough God. So I went and buried your talent.
Speaking of that, JW Suicides mentions, I have to say that visiting the U.S. supermarkets was a revelation coming from the United Kingdom. What healthier society...
Wait, read it slow.
I have to say that visiting U.S. supermarkets was a revelation coming from the UK. What healthier societies than mine would say about the supermarkets where I live. Let me tell you real quick, JW Suicides. There's this video of this woman. She was a nurse in Oregon, retired, and now she's living with her dog. She has 2 dogs. She lives in Mexico, southern part, and she travels around Mexico and does her blog. She's lost like 100 pounds. And a lot of people say that when they leave the United States, they feel healthier. So, yeah, so this is what people are saying on YouTube videos, right? But this is also what people are saying all over the place. And again, I'm going back to the Jehovah's Witnesses, because this is a Jehovah's Witness topic. Where are you, Jehovah's Witnesses? Where is your Wake magazine? And that's scary that I was able to produce that magazine. Check that out, Jesse. I was able to produce that magazine with artificial intelligence. Isn't that crazy? That's some scary stuff. Before I used to have to pay people to do that. Now I went to our AI and I said, do this for me, and it did it. That's scary. But going back, why does Watchtower, why can't they do that?
Well, they do talk about diet. If you go to jw.org, they do talk about healthy diets and everything, but they don't get, this is the Jehovah's Witness in the Jehovah's Witnesses are not a Christian organization. They're like a great tease. They're like a girl that gets you all hot, but then she doesn't put out. For example, and this is what I mean. They talk about life, that they believe it, they don't believe in abortion, but they don't do a goddamn thing on the pro-life movement. They talk about that they promote a healthy life, but they don't do nothing to help Bobby Kennedy, for example. They don't do anything. Anybody who's sticking their neck out to make America better or our planet better, they don't do nothing. It's always wait on Jehovah. They don't do nothing. That's why I say they're like the tease. They're a great tease. They could get you to the dance, but you ain't going to get none with Jehovah. You could quote me on that.
So John says the new JW magazine, Jesse, should be called Sleepy, not Awake.
Yeah. Damn, that's good.
Isn't that great?
Asleep instead of awake.
But Sleepy sounds good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're asleep. Jehovah's Witnesses are not awake. You're asleep. Because if you were to try to help, you know what? There's a video. There's these 2 videos on my phone. I'm not going to put them up. I'm going into Mexico, Algodones by Yuma, and there's Jehovah's Witnesses, Jesse, outside the Algodones port of entry with their stand. Nobody's listening to them. But then Monday I go to work, and sure enough, every Monday, there's these Christians outside of an abortion clinic. And the point I'm trying to make is that you, Jehovah's Witness, will stand 1 hour, 2 hours out and with your little stand, your cart. Nobody talks to you. You accomplish nothing. But Jesse, when I talk to those women that are outside the abortion clinics, they tell me about the results that they have. So again, this is not politics. What I'm talking about is this. If you had a business and you had to hire one of two girls, one girl stands outside, just standing out there looking pretty with the Awake magazine card. The other woman goes outside an abortion clinic, helping women find shelter, helping women find, options. Who would you want to hire as a business partner? Well, the woman in the abortion. Why? Because she gets things done. At least she's producing fruit. That's all I'm saying. Put your personal feelings aside. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, the Jehovah's Witnesses produce no fruit. They have the labor force. Imagine, Jesse, you in business have. My fight with you all the time was labor. Imagine you having all of this labor, but you don't get nothing done, and your shop is always dirty. That's the Jehovah's Witnesses. They have all of these people at their disposal, but they get nothing done. Jehovah has 8 million workers, but what does he get done? What I'm saying is,
it's worse. It's worse. Let me feed off of that. It's worse. Let's say you're in a field and there's weeds on side of the field, and the worker sprays Roundup, highest grade Roundup, highest grade pesticide on that field. How many years will it take for that pesticide to go away?
I don't know.
Many years. And what are we finding with certain pesticides are causing what?
All kinds of things.
So a harvest is 1 year, but the pesticides and the effects that we put on the ground take many years, and it gets into and it affects many ways. So is the Jehovah's Witness. It's not so much that they don't do anything. They affect so many millions of people. For example, in the Latin community, let's say a Latin community has 5-6 family members, and one of them is counted as a publisher, but there's 5 or 6 people are affected by that, and maybe 2 or 3 generations. So literally, like the political neutrality question or the abortion question, literally 40-50 people can be affected in one family by the Jehovah's Witnesses. You multiply that in an entire nation of 1 million, now you got 45 million people affected by that thought. Potentially 45 million people. So you have for example, the political neutrality question on abortion. What if you had 45 million people that said no abortion, maybe just for rape and incest? And then that would be a decision left by the parents and the doctor. Whatever the case may be. But the Jehovah's Witnesses don't do anything to advance anything. And it's the same way with everything that they touch. They don't advance the ball or the narrative on nothing. They're like that evil slave that Jesus talked about. They go and bury their talent. But it's worse. They affect everybody in their family.
Okay. Yeah, because listen, Jesse, I'm going to share a screen again with okay. So I want to do something about the I want to take action about the food. I want to go volunteer. Or how can I attend an event? And that's exactly what you're talking about, Jesse. So I want to do that, right? But my Jehovah's Witness wife, girlfriend, husband, all that other stuff, relatives, mom, sister, they're going to keep me from campaigning. They're going to keep me from volunteering.
Gilbert, in the Hispanic community, if you go talk to people and they go, I don't get involved in politics. You go, hey, Bobby Kennedy is going to talk about the poisons in the water. And he's going to be at the Civic Center. And you're going door to door and talking to people. And then you're going to run into some Latin people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. not Jehovah's Witnesses. Maybe they're smoking crack, maybe they're doing marijuana and everything. You're knocking on their door, and you go, "Hey, I'd like to invite you to the Civic Center because Bobby Kennedy's going to be talking about atrazine or fluoride in the water." That's all. Would you come listen to it?
I want to.
And that Latin person goes, "You know what? I don't get involved in politics. I don't have nothing to do with politics. We don't get involved in politics." I would venture to say, if you do a background check on that guy, 1 generation or 2 generation, he's associated somehow with the Jehovah's Witness. They've been infected. It would be like, let's say our grandfather was infected in Hiroshima with nuclear weapons, with radiation. And he passed it on to grandma and dad, and then dad passes it on to us. It gets passed on. The effect of the political neutrality and the laziness and the evil slave syndrome that the Jehovah's Witness gets passed on from generation to generation till it doesn't affect just 1 million Americans. It affects 45 million Americans.
Now, John Marciano says, good point, Jesse. That's a very good point, and I'm hoping, I forgot to mention that in the beginning. If you're watching, especially if you make YouTube videos, make sure you're taking notes, because what Jesse just dropped was a truth bomb. And even if it's not 45 million, Jesse, even if it's just 10 million.
Let me give you an example.
Those numbers are huge.
Michael Jackson and Prince.
Michael Jackson and Prince. The exact same thing. Go ahead.
And what's that other, the no brain, the low IQ person that plays tennis? What's her name? Serena Williams?
Serena Williams, yeah.
They spew all this Jehovah's Witness shit out in the population. They've been infected.
Yeah.
The Jehovah's Witness evil slave, bury your talent in the ground, affects millions and millions of people. Mm-hmm. That's just 3 people that we know of who are on the national scene. But what I'm saying, in every neighborhood in the United States, there's people who have that low IQ mentality that Watchtower preaches. Love of the United Nations, burying your talent into the ground. They pass it on from generation. For example, let's say you're an axe murderer, crack hoe, but your mom was a Watchtower fanatic. You're probably okay with being a crack whore and an axe murderer, yes, but you're not okay about getting involved in politics.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to go back to the radiation thing, because think about it. So, your relative, grandma, grandpa, whatever, dad, mom, was a Jehovah's Witness, and he got indoctrinated, like you said, in Hiroshima, all that nuclear radiation. He went to Bethel, right? And all that radiation is spewing. He went door to door, and he knocked on, let's say, 50% of the doors in your city. He infected a huge number of those. Of the 50% of the doors, let's say he talked to 50% of them. That's a 25% radiation. That's what you're talking about. The Jehovah's Witness door-to-door campaign, was like the shedding of radiation, the shedding of the jabby yabbies.
And I dare anybody in the chat comment. Go out and talk to your friends in your community, in your neighborhood. I do all day long. I'm always talking to everybody. And one time I noticed that people are politically neutral or averse to talking about political stuff. I started digging into their background. And especially in the Latin community, one of the things I find out, when you get people who are low IQ, mm-hmm, when it comes to politics or social, and you start digging into their background, mm-hmm, somehow they're Jehovah's Witness connected.
Jesse, at work, there's this guy. He's a black dude, right? Big guy. And talking to him, 2 things we find out. Found out that he was a Jehovah's Witness. Mom raised him. So he marries a worldly girl, but he's still mentally in somehow. He talks about his partying with Charles Barkley. He used to play here. They used to go betting, and I guess the reason I mentioned that he's a black man is because his relatives and Charles Barkley relatives and friends, they knew each other, so they would go to the parties. So he feels guilty of certain things, like he feels guilty about Christmas and Halloween and all that other stuff, but he does it for his wife, and he hates politics. But he gives the Jehovah's Witnesses, he gives them he puts them up here, like if they're, like if they deserve respect. Here's a man that is betting, playing poker, banging chicks, celebrating Halloween, all this stuff. He glorifies everything, but then he gives, like, he's a physically out, mentally in. He puts Watchtower on a pedestal, and he hates politics. He hates Donald Trump and this and that, and you that's the infection that you're talking about. Not because he hates Donald Trump, but he still puts Watchtower on a pedestal when the whole world around him is collapsing.
I think if you do an examination of Jehovah's organization, Jehovah is probably directly related to low IQ, because they do it to themselves. They check out of the social 50% of the church. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses lie to themselves. They say they're not politically. And I've always thought, no, the Jehovah's Witnesses are not politically right of center. But the Jehovah's Witnesses are full-blown communists. They're full-blown leftists. They'll still go get their Social Security check. They'll still go get their Section 8 housing. They'll still get their Social Security. They'll still get their disability. They'll still get their Christmas bonus. They'll do everything. But they won't vote for conservative issues. They'll go get their welfare check, but they won't do nothing to help a pro-life movement. They'll go get their Section 8 housing, but they won't go anywhere that says save our borders.
Yeah. Jesse, on that point, check this out. JW Suicides, we have to pause, though, because you got to read it in two sections. A wise woman told me that we give nothing to the world when we make ourselves small.
Wait. A wise woman told me that we give nothing to the world, make ourselves small.
That's it, right? Stop. When you make yourself small, you have nothing to offer. Makes sense. Now, JW's bully people into making themselves small.
Well said.
The modus operandi of the Jehovah's Witnesses is to make everybody small, bankrupt, everything. You have nothing to give.
Now, is this in line with Jesus' teaching? Didn't Jesus say to shine your light? And did not Jesus teach that the light, that your light had to be so bright that it would light, like you put it on top of a hill and it would light everything? Doesn't Jesus tell everybody to elevate the human race to be the best you can? So this is anti-Christian behavior, to lower the human experience. And where does Serena Williams fit on this, on being lowered? Where did Prince fit on being lowered?
Okay, let's stick with Serena Williams. Serena Williams, she's physically fit and she believes in health conscious lifestyle. Good for her. We're good for her. But why would she remain quiet about this? Because she's not allowed to talk about it. And that's what JW Suicides was saying about making people small. Here you have a Jehovah's Witness like Serena Williams, who should be pushing the Awaken magazine that is promoting health and fitness and transparency in our food. People are just saying, hey, make sure that everything, because the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, from my understanding, when it was originally founded, was to make sure that every ingredient that's in that food is put in the label. So that way you wouldn't have snake oil salespeople. They have to tell you what it is. And if it's
Gilbert,
not,
here's another thing.
So the point I'm trying to make is, why is Serena Williams, the health fitness, why would she not push this Awake magazine? Because, go ahead.
Can I answer a little bit? I'm going to go to one of your favorite movies. And I know this is one of your favorite movies. It's a trap. Now, everybody in the Galactic Empire had to concentrate on what? On the Death Star's weak point. And I've always told you, me and you were always getting in a fight. Because what do I say? That none of the countries on the planet really matter to me.
That's to you.
To me, in my humble opinion, and in my knowledge of time and history. Like J.W. Suicides is from Britain.
Mhm.
Like Gilbert, can you tell me what I think about Britain?
No, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I really don't care about other countries. To me, you know me as your brother. There's only one country that matters to me, and that's what?
Go ahead.
America. The rest of the countries are second place. And when you're second place, you didn't win. We're the only country that matters. And so could it be, no, follow me. If you go to the Western civilization and the collapse of Western civilization, Europe comes with us. Europe comes with us. Then why wouldn't that poison be in the food in Western Europe? But in America, what I'm saying is we're the number one country on the planet. And as America goes, so does the world. So that's why Serena Williams can't get involved. Because the Watchtower is directly related in knocking down the United States. That's the UN global agenda. For example, Alex Jones this week talked about 600 million people from the planet coming to America and Canada. That would, in essence, wash America as founded. It will no longer, it will still be the United States, but it won't be as founded. Right? Like if you buy a 1954 T-Bird, you buy a 1954 T-Bird, and that's the T-Bird, the original T-Bird, and then you buy a 2004 T-Bird. Is it the same T-Bird? No. Same thing with America. So they have to destroy us. That's why they have to poison us. That's why they have to censor us. Because America is the left/utopia. If we lose freedom here, there is nowhere else left to run. We're the last battleground. We're the last battlefield on the planet. If we go, the world goes. There is nowhere else. There is no bastion of freedom. This land is your land. This land is my land. In that song, This Land is Your Land, he says he was walking by the highways and a voice kept calling. This land was made. That voice is the American spirit. It doesn't exist in other countries. For some reason, it magically and majestically appears in the United States. Do you think the limey British are going to fight for us? Do you think the French would, if we lose freedom here, do you think the French are going to fight for freedom?
I think Spain has just collapsed. But go ahead.
Nobody will fight for us. We have to fight for ourselves. That's why the United Nations and the Watchtower are in bed. They hate the way we were founded, and they must knock us down. Now, knowing that all the countries suck and only America rules, in my opinion, that doesn't mean that I don't like the other countries. I like them. I like them. Like, let's say a lover has a wife, right? And you got another girl over here on the side. Yeah, but they're the girl on the side, but they're not your legitimate wife, right? And so that's the way we feel about America. We're the rightful heirs of freedom. They gave up on the Magna Carta. We adopted it. We wore it with a pride, you know? So that's why they have to knock it down.
Okay.
That was my rant. Now, what is the comment section? Are they?
It's a trap.
So that's my brother was a Jedi film in the Jedi film, and that blew up the Death Star. It's a trap is the best line ever. This is the funniest comment.
That was a great line.
This is the funniest comment of the night. The French are good at fighting back. No, just kidding. That's funny, but yeah, I hope there's
Hey,
no
Gilbert, when we were kids, didn't you love that line? You said that for like about 30 years, huh?
It's a trap. Yeah, all the women, man. Yeah, it's a trap. Yeah.
Now, Gilbert, let me ask you. You always say that people are embarrassed about Jesus. And you always say that people are embarrassed of Donald Trump. People are embarrassed to be called Republican. People are embarrassed to be called Christian. I noticed that when I go on a rant about America being number one, you get embarrassed about that. You don't embrace it.
Because you sound like a Jew. You know, hold on. You know, I know.
You said I sound like Peter Griffin?
Listen.
Hey, Lisa, can you fix me a little?
This is what you sound like.
That this is all unnecessary. Our life was fine the way it was.
Check it out. I'm one of you guys now, huh? I'm Jewish. Yeah, Holocaust. We never.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah. Okay, but Yeah, we're
Yeah.
Jewish. Number one.
Gilbert,
Yeah.
first of all, I know Jimmy Bell's not here. So I'm going to just say it. We went to the moon and they didn't. Because Jimmy Bell's not here to argue with me at that point.
Well,
So,
what's his name? Elon Musk says we went to the moon.
yeah. Yeah. So. Now, guess what, Gilbert? Ruby Quinn is here. So you know it's going to get to Jimmy Bell's ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that I said we went to the moon. See, I knew it. The moon landing was fake. Listen, if the moon landing was fake, how come we saw it on TV? I was 1 year old when I saw it. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Wow. That'd be a good show. Did we or did we not go to the moon?
Yeah, did we not go to the moon? But Gilbert, that now Pixie dropped some pearls on us.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the show, she set up a whole damn. You know what? You ought to dedicate this show to her. You owe her. And you know, you being a misogynistic person, I've never ever heard you say, you know what? I'm going to dedicate this outside of your girlfriends, the one with Tourette's and the Chinese girl. Outside of them, I never hear you dedicate a show to them. But anyways, that said, as SmackDown said, Pixie brought up a good point. And the point, well, she brought up three points: the Robert Malone book, and the Watchtower, and then the food poisoning. And I think that's what everybody wants to talk about today. And the Bobby Kennedy angle to it. But the Watchtower, for example, they talk about health food and they talk about everything. And the arguments now are legion about us being poisoned by red number 9. And why doesn't the Watchtower Away JW.org say an article about that? For example, they talk in general terms, but they could get a specific product, for example, that the kids are eating, like Skittles or any specific product. And they go, well, we don't want to get specifics. I remember when we were kids growing up as Jehovah's Witnesses. When the Pope came down, they went specifically at John Paul II. They had no problem in the 80s and the 70s going after specific things. I remember when I was a kid, they went after Saturday Night Fever, the movie, the John Travolta movie. The old Jehovah's Witnesses had no problem going after specific things. And the old elders told us in the 1961, they would go after Chubby Checker and the Twist. And when we were kids, if you had a Kiss poster in your bedroom, man, you were going to get all your privileges removed. So how come they don't go after nothing now? They just talk in general terms.
Ready?
Is it because, yeah.
I thought it was going to be more than that. Ding, 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 ding. That's what I wanted to get out. Ding, 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 ding. Watchtower this month, in less than 2-3 weeks, is going to write an article about this because Watchtower is listening to the show. Quote us.
We know that. Yeah, when we're on the Rick Fearon show and we talk about specific, it does influence Watchtower. So when they're not censoring us, they're listening to us.
Guys, write this down. Watchtower is going to address the fact that there's poison in our food. They're going to quote the United Nations. And I bet you some guy in Watchtower is listening. He's going to keep quiet about it, that he heard it here. He's going to give maybe that idea to somebody. They're going to put it out. And
Gilbert,
that's how we'll know that they're listening. Go ahead.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
And I'm going to get political reason. Now, Pixie said that in Europe, there's certain foods that are banned. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. She could come back and correct me if I'm wrong. But in Western countries, those poisons are not allowed in the food. But in America, they are. Therefore, we know there's an attack on us. There's an attack. They hate us as Americans. Kind of like the Democrats and the journalists hate Republicans. So do other countries hate us as Americans. So it's okay to poison us because they hate us. Kind of like when the Germans were killing the Jews, it was okay to dehumanize them because they had already made them dehuman.
So,
So
so
yeah,
you're saying that because I was going to buy Tootsie Rolls for Halloween, but it's filled with red number 40, yellow 5 and 6. So I said no, I'm not going to buy them. So you're saying that if I were to buy those Tootsie Rolls in Uganda, Bahrain, it wouldn't have it, or Uzbekistan, it wouldn't have it. But they're doing it on purpose on the United States because they don't want Ugandans killed, they don't want Bolivians killed, they want Americans killed. That's a theory. That's a conspiracy theory right there. Why?
so Watchtower,
Yeah. Why else?
it's Watchtower will not benefit talking about the specific poisons in food when it's hurting Americans. Every time an American or a Christian suffers, Watchtower celebrates.
Okay. Every time a Christian or an American suffers, Watchtower celebrates.
They celebrate in silence. You always said your silence is killer. Didn't you? There's Christians all over the planet that are being decimated. Watchtower never cries a tear for that, Argentina. But anytime a Jehovah's Witness loses a legal case in Russia, they'll move heaven and earth. Watchtower doesn't care about Americans. Watchtower does not care about Christians.
Let's just look at you see that comment right there, Jesse? It says fentanyl is a plan to kill us. Wow.
Yeah.
So check this out. Let's go here. I typed in fentanyl. So I'm gonna go here to jw.org. So are we on jw.org right now? Okay. I typed in the word fentanyl. I hope I spelled it right. Do you see that?
Okay,
Fentanyl.
let me just say something.
Now, let me spell it a different way.
Wait, before you do, yeah, there it is.
1985.
Look, I got a point on this. It's going to be a little distraction, but I have to give. I know you had a problem with Mike and Kim, and I know that Mike kicked your ass one time, and you came up to the show all bloodied up and stuff. And then Kim was going to kick your ass, and but you have to give credit where credit is due. I've heard one of the best takedowns of JW.org search engine done by Kim.
Yeah.
One of the greatest. I can't remember what month it is. You can go back and look at it. But Kim did one of the best takedowns. And she said she hated, and I listened to it, and I did everything she said, and everything was true. It is one of the worst search engines out there, the JW.org. So you were one letter off, and it showed you 0 results.
But when I did the other result, it showed one article in 1985. They didn't talk about it. But here's the thing: when it comes to the search engines, it's done by design, because all of you old Jehovah's Witnesses remember that we had the CD-ROM, JW on CD-ROM, and that would give you a perfect search because it was on a CD-ROM. It was search, and Google was like that at the time. It was Yahoo, and that's why everybody loves search engines, because you can type in fentanyl and anything that has this word, and this word, eliminate it. So you were able to do a really good search. You can't do that now. They're the ones who are going to tell you. But the point is yeah, the Watchtower's computer systems have gotten wise. They're the ones that are going to tell you what you're going to see. It wasn't like before. But going back to the fentanyl thing and this magazine, the Awake magazine, why is it that fentanyl is absent in JW.org? Why is it that red number 40 is absent on JW.org? Why is it that arsenic, and why is it that atrazine and fluoride in the water absent on JW.org?
Can I try to answer that?
Try.
You said that when your enemy is in the process of self-destructing, what do you do?
Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Watchtower, JW.org, in my humble opinion, is happy that we're poisoning ourselves. So why would they inform the reader? Why would they inform the reader of the dangers in the water supply? I would venture that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses work in the water departments all over the country as technicians or whatever. Why would they tell anybody anything? They're in on it. They're complicit by their silence.
Mhm.
They're complicit in their silence. They're a journalistic organization with divine inspiration, but they can't tell you there's a little bit of poison in the water.
Jehovah can't tell you that McDonald's French fries. There was an article. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go back. Hold on. Check this out. This is what. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. You ready? Let's go back to Mike Adams with Natural News. Big food gets addicted, laced with ingredients, and there it is, man. They call it an act of war is being waged on young consumers. Big food makes children addicted to unhealthy products. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let me see. This guy starts talking about it. Megan Kelly, she's doing work on this. It says right now, American food companies are using toxic ingredients that in other countries are either banned or regulated differently in the same products that they serve American citizens. Check this out. According to her, McDonald's French fries contain 11 ingredients in the US, but only 3 ingredients in other countries. Skittles uses 10 different artificial food dyes in the US, as well as titanium dioxide that's all over the food in Trader Joe's. I added that in, which is banned in Europe because it can cause damage.
Titanium dioxide. Let's go to jw.org. See if you can find titanium dioxide.
No.
Okay, I'll go there.
Okay, yeah, go there. Because I'm trying to do more than one thing at the same time. See if you can find it. But the point I was trying to make. So why is Watchtower not telling them? You're saying that they want you dead.
No. They want the United States dead. They want Christianity dead. They hate America as founded. They hate Christianity as founded. They hate us. They hate the American way of life, and they hate the Christian way of life. They're a New World Order religion, and there's no room in the New World for Americans or Christians.
Here it is, guys. JW.org, titanium dioxide, 1985.
Improves opacity.
So that the printing of the other side of the paper does not show through. They're talking about what it's used for. So I guess whenever they're finished with that waste, they'll put it on your food. I don't know. But so there you go, guys. Things that are very important. Like
now, that's a very important point, Gilbert, and that gets glossed over a lot. But the accusation that I made is real strong. And a lot of times you say when you say something, there's nothing else left to be said because it's too powerful. When I say that Jehovah hates Americans, Jehovah hates Christians, I'm not lying to you. So if Americans are eating titanium dioxide in their French fries, Jehovah doesn't care.
Yeah, and it's all over the food all over the nuts, coconut, dried fruits in Trader Joe's. Yeah, titanium dioxide everywhere. But in the beginning of that article, it talked about big corporations. And in 1989, that's when it all started. It all started in 1989 because R.J. Reynolds bought Kraft food. I remember because I was in high school. And we had one of our assignments in class. They were showing us about the stock market. So we all had to go to the store. And guess what newspaper we all had to buy? The Wall Street Journal.
Gilbert.
So
your GG for GBVP candidate.
I know.
Ruby Quinn V. Harris is here.
I put her there.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So in 89, all of us kids, we'd have to go to, believe it or not, back then, the Wall Street Journal was in a newspaper. And then you pay 50 cents. It was always twice as expensive as a regular paper. But we would go and get the Wall Street Journal in our senior year, and we would have to look at the stock market. So we'd always have to bring that paper because that was part of our assignment. That was the year when some lucky kids in the class, they picked Kraft food. And that week, Kraft Foods got bought out by R.J. Reynolds. So instead of just having adults addicted to cigarettes, that's when they said, hey, if we buy Kraft food, we can have children addicted to what? Macaroni and cheese. And that's when they started talking about that's what all these people are talking about. That the same corporations that are putting these ingredients in the food. It's like cigarettes for children, cigarettes for young kids and young people. And and so average, like that article talked, people like Megyn Kelly, just a journalist. But Watchtower, who has a team of journalists, they can't come out. What I'm trying to say is that Watchtower has the ability, which they won't use. They have the ability to leave a bigger impact than Megyn Kelly, Robert Kennedy, and Glenn Beck combined. These three people are trying to educate the United States, and Watchtower can do a better job. They have the ability. But like you said, they hate America so much that they're willing to go along with big pharma, big business, big agriculture, and let us be poisoned. So now we know whose team. What team are you? Remember in Top Gun when he goes, it's not about your flying, it's not about your ability. He goes, and Iceman tells Tom Cruise, whose team are you on? At some point, you need to ask Watchtower, whose side are you on? So we want to know, Ruby, did you take a lot of notes today? Were you like?
Oh yeah, I've been watching the entire time. Really great show and great points. Yeah. But I think one of the main components that I haven't heard you guys mention yet is the existence of Big Pharma. So I think that they are all in cahoots and they approve of these poisons in our food and our lifestyles because you're going to get sick and you're going to go to the doctor and then they're going to prescribe you a pill. And then that's how they make money.
See, that's the back end. So Glenn Beck's latest video shows that if you were to drink like two or three Coca-Colas, I forget what size, but 2 or 3 Coca-Colas, then he gets a 10-pound bag of sugar and he pours the sugar in this table. And that's how much sugar you will have consumed in a week. So now you can actually see it, but the sugar has been, liquefied and it's in the Coca-Cola. And so then that takes you to what? The diabetes in young kids. And then that's what you're talking about. So it's the secondary part of the equation, or the third. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So where is Watchtower saying, brothers, stop drinking 4 Coca-Colas a day and don't drink Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi because phenylutronics contain phenylalanine. Those are the big words in the bottle. Phenylutronics contain phenylalanine. What the hell does that mean? It can't be something good. But why is Watchtower and the Awake magazine not doing this and saying, hey, this is going to give you diabetes unnecessarily, and then you're going to be stuck into the system? Jesus, when will the end of the system of things come? And now we're coming to find out that Watchtower is part of the system. They were always in on it. Go ahead. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think I also read, and I haven't done more research on this, but I've also heard that the mRNA vaccines are also infused in foods. So even if you don't get a shot, you're still going to get it through consumption of food. And I think that kind of links with Bill Gates and, kind of those theories and things like that. But I haven't done enough research to know if it's true or not, but it's something that I've heard.
You know what? Something interesting, and I wanted to share with you and Ruby Gilbert and Ruby, you too. And please don't find this derogatory, and I don't mean it in any sense. But something I find with my communist friends and my young friends that I have contacts with is there's a common theme about this word research. Now, I don't do any research. I didn't go to college. I didn't graduate. I was probably number 246 in my high school class out of 247. And I'm like the Stray Cats. I believed in 1982 that there ain't nothing in school they don't teach you on the streets. So I don't do research. But I always go by my common sense. I believe in common sense. When I became an American, I embraced this idea of common sense. And I think a lot of the young people, they talk about research. And what do you think, me, an old fart? I'm just an old son of a bitch. I don't know nothing in life. I don't do no research. I'm always skeptical about research because when I was a kid, people who did research, they were probably going to lead us into a trap. And so we were always taught never take $1 from the mafia, never take $1 from a drug person because you're going to fall into a trap. Never go to Treasure Island because you're going to turn a jackass like Pinocchio. So I was always afraid to do research. Is that
So
wrong?
what's a better word that you would use when you need to look up information?
Common sense or
Right, but if you don't know something, what's a better word in your opinion to get more information?
When I was a Jehovah's Witness kid, 6, 7, 10, oh no, probably 10 or 11, and probably all the way to about I was 16 or 17. I went to the library and I read the encyclopedia. So I would read. I was a Jehovah's Witness being brought up but I would read the Catholic Encyclopedia at secret in the Yuma City Library. So I would walk to the library and I would read the encyclopedia and I would read. So I would inform myself, like I inform myself about Valentine's Day. I inform myself about the origins of Christmas, reading alternative books. So I always did
that's a better
research.
word.
Yeah. So this was before the internet. We didn't have the internet. So we had to go to books. And so I kept a lot of those books. I kept my encyclopedia and I kept my history books from the 50s and 60s. And so when I want to do research, I go back and I do what I call I go back and read the old books, the old texts.
Okay, so inform is a better word. I have not informed myself yet whether or not the mRNA vaccine type strain, whatever it is, that has been infused in food. But I've heard about that happening, and so that kind of falls in line with the whole big pharma. That's why I'm anti-vax, I'm anti-Fed, I'm anti-government, I'm anti a million things. I want to abolish all of those things and go back to growing your own food, living on your own terms, owning your own land, and raising your kids and homeschooling your kids the way you want to, because nobody can dictate to you how to raise your own kids and live your own life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let me just add this. I'm more philosophical and I'm more romantic. I'm more classical. Let me give you an example of what you just said, mRNA. So my theory is this. Let's say I agree with you 100% about the mRNA, but I go a little bit further. I think there was junk in there. I think there's copper. I think there's aluminum. I think there's trash in it. Okay. And so my question to you is, what kind of person would knowingly do that? Let's say you work at the pharmaceutical company that made it and turned it into the vials, and your job is to put copper or zinc or aluminum into the mixture, into the vat. What kind of person do you have to be to do that? Would an American do that to an American?
Yes.
Hopefully not.
Would a Christian do that?
For 30 pieces of silver, yeah.
Well, yeah. Wow.
For 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah. So I'm more philosophical, and that's the way I think. I think, let's say you work at a water supply company, and you're going to put fluoride into the water, and you see it's a vat of ugly stuff. And let's say that's your job as the water department worker. Would you do it?
But that's the thing. They don't. Okay. Maybe I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, but in my mind, I kind of justify it like, well, maybe they don't know the negative effects. They're just doing what they're told. It's just a job. Then now the people who do know that are inflicting all of this on us, the consumer who doesn't know anything or doesn't know any better. That's why it's so important to educate ourselves. How are we supposed to know? Like they are the evil ones for putting those things in our food, our water, telling us to vaccinate ourselves and our kids and our dogs and a bunch of stuff. And you don't even know what's in the shot. And then they end up, having injuries or problems with developmental things. And they never want to say, oh, it's because of this, or it's because of that. You can't say those things or else you get banned or censored or get a strike on YouTube or whatever. But how do we know? We don't know.
Well, as a religious leader and promoting the Awake magazine, I would say with the mRNA, when is the last time? No, seriously. When is the last time in world history that humans played with the DNA of other humans? It was called pre-diluvian, is with the angels. Nothing good comes out of playing with DNA. Nothing.
The Nazis experimented with it.
You mean to tell me that now it's okay to experiment with human DNA? Now,
The
hold on.
Nazis, Dr. Mengele would
So I'm gonna do this for Ruby because she brought up something, and let's have fun, and let's do it live. Ready? So we're gonna go to jw.org.
Oh
Okay.
no.
No, hold on. Bill, you're the one that said it. Gates.
Oh
Bill
Lord.
Gates. Let's see what they say. Gates across the flames. Robots. How far? Bill Gates. Okay. The Awake magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Bible speaks of Gates. Only one time do we see Bill Gates mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to do with robots. And when was this thing written?
Hmm.
I don't know, but
Writer in Japan?
by a Awake writer in Japan. Let's see, Gates. No. There's two mentions of Gates. Here it is. Bill Gates, a well-known leader in computer revolution, says robots will play an important role. So this article is about robots and the future, and they just mentioned that. They just mentioned him as a quote, but there's no mention of Bill Gates and the things that he's doing with vaccines and food. And ready? Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates is covering your food with a thing called Appeal. Appeal. Type in Appeal on YouTube and look at all of the videos that people are putting on Instagram everywhere, and they're saying, "Look at my mango.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my avocado. Look at my lemon," and they're opening up.
That sounds sick.
Yeah. So where is
mango.
So where is Bill Gates in the Awake magazine? This is what I'm talking about, the dereliction of duty of the governing body.
So it's ignorance by omission.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said that Jehovah's Witnesses are a very low IQ organization. I know Rudy uses the word research, and I use the word informed or whatever, look up information, but they're not. They're deliberately kept in the dark on every subject. Yeah. Dereliction of duty. Yeah. So like when Ruby talks about the mRNA and you talk to your brothers, like my mother-in-law, she's got 4 vaccines and and she's waiting for the next one. And my sisters and my brothers, my dead brother probably got and then he's dead. So, but the questions that you were talking about, the mRNA and then the stuff that I brought up, they would call it conspiracy theories. And then they line up to take it. So in their ignorance, they line up to their own injury.
Yeah. And speaking of that, check this out. This is a tequila bottle that's used in Mexico. When I go down to Mexico, they fill it with honey. So instead of buying brand new, they recycle.
You see that, Ruby, in Florida?
So you have a
if you're ever in Yuma, we'll take you down. We're just a couple of minutes away from Mexico. But you see this a lot.
This is a used tequila bottle. They clean it up and they put honey in it. So these people are saving the planet, and nobody's getting sick and dying because. So it's kind of like what Jesus says about straining the gnat and gulping the camel. We go through great lengths to wash our hands, everything sanitized, put on mask and everything. Oh, you can't do this because it's dirty. And yet, who's the one that's unhealthy? The people that strain the gnat and gulp the camel. That's us. Because our priorities are in the wrong place. And that's what I'm trying to tell you with the dereliction of duty. Watchtower's priorities in the wrong place.
And you want to get elected to that?
No.
Well, he wants to get elected to take over. He really thinks that he can. I don't know what he thinks. He was telling me, he went on a rant with me on the phone the other day. He goes, I have to get elected because I'm the only one who knows how to clean this. What were you telling me, Gilbert?
Ruby, when a guy, he learned the truth about the truth, but he told his mom, Joe's mom, that Gilbert's running for governing body. And he goes, because Donald Trump, he goes, and he explained to her that, why is it that they get elected? They can appoint people, but nobody can get elected. They're not Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. They understood it because you illustrate the absurdity by being absurd. So these people can self-appoint themselves, but I cannot have my due place via the electoral process.
And he likes to quote himself.
Yeah.
You know how Watchtower is always home. The Watchtower of 75. So Gilbert likes to quote himself. So, Ruby, now that you're here, and thank you for all the enlightening points that you brought and all the great questions. But tell us, what do you think about our governing body member?
Yeah, what do you think? That's the purpose of the show.
Which one?
The purpose of this show is to find out what you think about me.
Gilbert.
Oh.
Are his arguments correct? Is he a little bit...
I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy it very much.
Okay. Now, I have a question for you, Ruby. Now, in Florida, you guys went through all the hurricane and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think, this is going to switch it a little bit on the politics and we're talking about it, but it's a little bit off kilter. But do you think it's going to affect our electoral politics within the next couple of weeks?
I think so.
It is? Really?
Well, I've been informing myself of a lot of different theories, and I'm on Twitter. So I do believe that these storms, whether they are modified or not, they are targeting Republican states, Republican counties.
Wow.
And they have destroyed, North Carolina, Asheville, the whole, west coast of Florida. It's just kind of weird. I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe that things are happen naturally anymore. I don't trust the government at all, and I wouldn't put it past them that they are desperate for anything that they can do to get more votes for the other side. So if all of these people are devastated with no home or they're dead, how are they going to vote?
Wow.
That's just my theory. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying like that's what happened, but since you asked me, that's my opinion. I think that they are targeting us, the South or Republican voter areas, so that we are devastated and cannot vote.
Great. Because the reason I asked too is because I was on Rick Ferron's show a couple of weeks, last week or so, and somebody was putting Jimmy Bell on blast because Jimmy Bell has been explaining, because he's a resident of North Carolina. Am I not correct?
Yeah, he is.
And they were calling him a liar, and it was just one person. But I go, well, Jimmy is an eyewitness, and if he's not allowed to say what he's seeing, who is it?
Oh yeah.
But they had him on blast on the comment section, and I thought, wow, Jimmy Bell is actually living there. He's on scene, and he's giving eyewitness testimony about what's going on with these storms. And this person on the comment section is just blatantly calling Jimmy and not giving any eyewitness account of how Jimmy's lying. Yeah.
Right. There's different theories. That's not the only one. But in my mind, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, why didn't this happen anywhere else? And why did it have to happen so close to election? Like it makes you think if these things were natural, or hurricane seasons every year in Florida. Why does it have to happen as bad as it did during this time frame? That's what makes me think, because it's an election year.
Right.
Well, I don't know, Jesse, but I just know one thing. In 1945, that's 80 years ago. 80 years ago, they had an atom bomb. What do we have now? So in 80 years, I'm not saying we can manipulate the weather. I'm just saying that there's a lot of, and Donald Trump alluded, I remember one time we became president, he talked about there's things that this military has that even blew his mind away. So, and then with Russia talking about, missiles going 5 times, 6 times the speed of sound. I mean, the technology that's out there, and then with Elon Musk bringing that rocket ship back and everybody saw it. I mean, all I'm just saying is that there was a comedian that talked about the cat, getting the cat out of the bag. Yeah. There's a lot that we don't know. So is it possible? I don't discount anything anymore.
I see it different. I see it different than both of you. Okay. Because I'm more political and I have more years involved in the political scene. And so I know that weather is political. For example, if Hurricane Katrina comes, it's going to take out George Bush. But if the hurricane that hits South Carolina or any other state, it's going to help Bill Clinton. And the media, so for example, let's say a hurricane hits during Bill Clinton's time. All the media is ready to go, and they're going to say how great and magnanimous Bill Clinton is. But if a hurricane hits during George Bush's presidency, he's going to be out the demon. Remember, Kanye West even came out on TV when Mike Myers was standing next to him, and he says George Bush hates black people.
Yeah.
So the weather is political. And I know our brothers and sisters, a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses say, don't talk about politics. No, even the weather is political.
Yeah, everything is. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I say is I see the theory. It makes a little bit of sense. And since I don't trust so much of what the news, the media says or anything else, I trust my gut feeling like you, Jesse. I don't the research and the fact checking, how you talk about that. I totally agree with that. But that's what's really weird about what's going on. Oh, and when you do look into it and you Google about the manipulation of weather and things like that, it is a fact that there are patents that manipulate hurricanes or tornadoes or whatever storm they have a patent on. So they have the technology to do it. I don't know if I believe that they are doing it. I'm not saying that they are or that they aren't, but it is happening. It does exist. That's why I told you guys I also don't believe that the moon landing was real. And just like Jesse, just like Gigi said, 1945 with the atomic bomb. Yeah, that's exactly the same reasoning that I'm coming from. If they could do that in 45, what do you think they could do now?
Well, let's talk about the moon landing. God, this is one of the greatest subjects. Gilbert, is it okay? Because you are the governing body member. Will you indulge us a few minutes on this subject?
Yeah, because I want to talk. The next thing I want to talk about gold, but go ahead.
Okay, we're going to talk about gold. Oh, great subject. But Ruby, let's get it on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Okay. Now, you know that I believe the world is round. You know that I believe that we went to the moon. But even I love listening to the flat earth arguments. I love it. And I got an addiction like crack. Now, I don't do crack or I don't smoke marijuana or nothing like that. But when I hear flat earthers, I love listening to their theories. And especially when they bring up scientific theories. Because then I go do my research and I hear the other side of the coin. But on the earth, the flat, I'm landing on the moon. I was 1 year old. And I distinctly try to remember being with my mom. Because we used to watch TV. So I know I probably don't remember, but in my mind, I think I do remember sitting in front of the TV and watching the moon landing. So it means something to me. So I believe in the moon landing. And this is why I think the moon landing is so special. I'm an air conditioning technician, and there is no air conditioning in the world that can be leak free. It'll leak its freon. So I don't believe we could go to the moon and not leak oxygen. So as a technician, I have a hard time thinking we went to the moon. How the hell did we build in absolute zero this spacecraft that doesn't leak oxygen, and choke everybody to death? Well, anyways, that said, even if we didn't go to the moon, this is going to blow your mind, Ruby. We are so badass as a country. We are so badass. We have the whole world thinking we did. So even if we didn't go, we still kick their butts.
I know. Yeah, but because of that fact, they could sign us up. They could sign up us into anything.
Okay, well, you guys both have given it to me on a silver platter. You can sign up.
Yeah, like
anything. And Jesse says that we're so badass, we're so great at lying that we even got you to believe, and you bought memorabilia that we went to the moon. So let me show you this screenshot, this screen. And this is from not my words. I don't know if you can see this part on the very top. It says fiscaltreasury.gov. No, you can't see it. But the web page is the Treasury Department. These are not my words. Let me post it here so you guys could see it. And I'm gonna get rid of this part. So I'm gonna hit put it on the screen. Show fiscaltreasury.gov. This is where it's at. Now, Jesse's getting taking a break, but in it, let me see if I could. Book value. You see that, Ruby, which says book value? The Department of the Treasury records U.S. government-owned gold reserves at the value stated in the United States section code, yada, yada, yada. Statutory rate. The government says that every ounce of gold that they hold in their possession is worth $42.22. You see that? It's worth $42.22. Now, the reason I bring this up is because there was another group of people, and today, Jesse, you missed that show.
I was listening to the whole thing.
Okay, but it's on the government website, and this is I've known about this for a long time. So since Roosevelt's day, when he took everybody's gold and revalued it, this is going to the moon landing thing to Dorian. So he says, "Give me your gold at 35." Takes everybody's gold at 35 and then revalues it 42. Basically stealing $7 from everybody. But back then, that was a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. You can get a gallon of milk for a few pennies. Here's the point. The point is that this couple of days ago, one of the best videos I've ever seen from Kitco News was with Andy Sheckman. Guy sold billions of dollars of gold and silver. Great, everybody respects him. And there's a lot of smart people that talk about gold coming at $150,000 an ounce. Now, the reason why they're saying that is that the government has options. The government has to do something in the next year because SHIT is going to hit the fan. It's just going to happen. And so one of the theories that the smartest people out there that are not part of the government, like the apostates of the finance world, they're saying if the government were to say gold is at $150,000 an ounce, it's like a reset on your computer. It wipes all of the debt. It just wipes everything clean. And then the federal government can actually give you a $150,000 check if you give them one of their US coins. And but the point is, it's like a bankruptcy thing. It's when you know you're in bankruptcy, you have to go to plan A, B, C, D. So these are one of the plans that these smart thinkers are thinking about. A lot of people say, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But you just saw right now that the government, as of today, says that the gold is worth $42 on their books. The point I'm trying to make is that the lies are so intense in every direction. Anything is possible, is what I'm saying. We're living in a moment in time where anything is possible. That all of these conspiracy theories are conspiracy facts. Mm-hmm. We're living in great times of great change. I don't pretend to know what's going to happen to gold. I don't pretend to know if we went to the moon. I'm just saying, I don't know if we can manipulate the weather, but what I am saying is so much is being hidden from us. Mm-hmm. And eventually the truth is going to break out of its shell. And we're going to know the truth about food. We're going to know the truth about the governing body, about the politicians. The truth is going to come and break out of its shell. That's what I believe. And I hope I didn't bore anybody by going through that.
No, but good question. Mm-hmm. Let's say $100,000. Are you that some people, some smart economists, project that is the true worth of an ounce of gold in today's world as we live?
Yes, because if you go to the debt clock, there's two different debt clocks, right? One, and check this out, and this is where the smart people. Let me go back to sharing the screen. And this is why it's always good to listen to the apostates of every industry, the apostates of the finance world, the apostates of anything. So you see right there where it says $35 trillion. That's in treasuries, Jesse. That's in what the federal government owes China, Japan, Russia, anybody that holds these treasury notes. Now, what people are always crying about is the unfunded liabilities of right here of Social Security and stuff like that. And I'll mention that here in a little bit. So the gold to ounce ratio, 136,000 is right here. The bricks but anyways, the point is, I'll have to find it later. But But the point is this I'm trying to make is that there's two different types of debt. There's debt that you owe other countries and debt that you owe people inside of your country. The debt that we owe people, like, our Democrat friends, that are on the government take, our Republican rhinos that are on the government take, that unfunded liabilities is huge. It's gargantuan. But the debt that we owe Japan, the debt that we owe Australia, the debt we owe 401ks and through treasuries is a different debt. So the federal government can fix its debt with the world and says, we'll take care of these other guys later. So it's kind of like two different bankruptcies. We can file bankruptcy on us, we the people, and the government is going to be, no American citizen is going to go out and try to kill you. Or if we file bankruptcy with China and everybody else, we go to war. Saudi Arabia, it's like it's ugly. So that's what the people are talking about right now, is that you have to understand that there's different debts for different, the debt on the global level, debt on the internal house.
Gilbert, I'm going to get philosophical on you. And remember, I've always advocated this, and I have no proof, I have no evidence, I have no research. This is just my gut instinct as an American who watched Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone.
Yeah.
And okay, they suck, we don't. BRICS sucks, and we don't. Our dollar says, "In God we trust." Mm-hmm. Now, to me, that means something. I think that the BRICS currency and the other currencies that would come up against our dollar, even our dollar, who is in fiat territory, it's not backed by anything tangible, just the full faith and credit of the United States government, is still better than every other damn currency on the planet. Even though our currency is based in fiat and fake, like everybody says, everything bad about the United States dollar is still better than every other dollar out there. Everybody in the neighborhood is still bad.
Yes and no, but the direction that the United States is going in right now, and Donald Trump knows it, because Donald Trump said that if we lose the American dollar as the world hegemony, the world currency, it'll be like a war, a revolutionary war. It'll be like World War III.
Correct.
So Donald Trump is right that the road that we're going in right now is a road. And going back to what you just said, Vladimir Putin, the Chinese, everything that the Saudis are saying, they don't want World War III, Jesse. So they're very happy with the United States.
But the foundation of the currency of the American dollar was so great. In other words, what George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson, what our fathers gave us, the inheritance that we got, the United States dollar, is better than anything Vladimir Putin can put up. It's better than any Xi Jinping can put up. No,
you understand. They understand that, but that's what they want. It's BRICS is Plan B, Jesse. BRICS is they see the writing on the wall. They rather just things stay the same. Nobody wants to change. But the
BRICS reminds me. Follow me on this.
Go ahead.
BRICS reminds me of Daniel's feet. BRICS reminds me of Daniel's feet. Remember, it was loose rocks and clays. Do you think Brazil has anything to do with China? Do you think that Iran and Saudi Arabia have anything to do with each other? So what I'm saying is that these are loose conglomerations. Yes, I think the dollar is in a stronger footing than all of those nations put together.
Jesse, and that's why a lot of people are not rushing into it. But Mexico's going into BRICS. Everybody wants in on BRICS. But why? Because it's a plan B. It's a plan B. They see the writing on the wall is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we went to the moon. They didn't.
No, I know, but you're wrong in the sense that we are going.
No, you have the right to be wrong. I'm right.
No, you're wrong. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Going back to the Awake magazine, this very subject about BRICS, about dollar hegemony, should be on the Awake magazine, informing the people. And the smartest people on this subject, on BRICS and on everything else, why the Federal Reserve and the Treasury have gold at $42 an ounce. That should be the article. And it goes back to the dereliction of duty that I keep preaching, of the Watchtower. They're really setting everybody up for failure. Every one of Jehovah's Witnesses are set up for failure.
Now, I wish that Watchtower would attack it For example, when our dollar says "In God We Trust," is it a Masonic saying? What was the history behind it? Whatever. But the Watchtower is silent about it. JW.org. They could talk about the BRICS coming in. They could talk about why did the United States dollar say "In God We Trust"? What is the meaning behind it? Is it a Masonic? Is it Luciferian? Or is it Christian? Is it holy? Is it right? Is it pagan?
Well,
something.
Well, imagine you have a religious article like the Awake magazine saying, if "In God We Trust" is in the money, we're asking these questions. Why then are you valuing gold at $42 an ounce and just ignoring it? You've been ignoring it since Franklin Delano Roosevelt's time. Why? That's not trusting in God and demanding answers. And you're right. And guess what? It wouldn't be just the Jehovah's Witnesses, but the Jehovah's Witnesses would have the great opportunity of getting Catholics and Mormons and everybody else on the bandwagon and affecting that change. And that's the point I'm trying to make. So that's why a lot of people like Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck, Robert Kennedy, they all have their different religions, but they're allowed to affect change.
When was the dollar pegged at 40? When was the dollar pegged at 40 an ounce?
That was before Roosevelt died, so like what, 43?
Okay, listen. So how many years is 43 to today?
It's 80 years.
Okay, sometimes things are put in cryogenic freezing. 80 years, 2 generations, maybe 2, 3, 4 generations. Look, in 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, they ceased acknowledging a religion in the Soviet Union, Russia. It didn't come back till 1991, about 83 years later. Sometimes things happen. They go through a cycle. But you can't hold back the natural forces, natural law. So gold is always going to be pegged as a value. So it's just dormant right now. The United States government is not ignoring it. They just got it in a cryogenic freeze.
And that's where I say somehow, I'm not going to go religious, but it is Sunday in some parts. This is why it's called Babylon the Great. I don't know what Babylon the Great is, nor do I say, but it is so damn great, Jesse. It is so damn great, this Babylon, whoever she is, that she has, like you say, they're so powerful to be able to keep everybody within a system of things. And so what's the breakout that we're going to see? Well, what do we see with Babylon? Everybody just goes their own way.
It can't be the dollar, Gilbert, because in the Revelation account it says they got drunk with the blood of the saints.
No, I know. No, I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that this thing about being able to suppress gold, bringing in money, whatever, whoever's behind this great thing, it has all the earmarkings of Babylon the Great. Because at the end of the day, what did Babylon the Great do? It kept everybody in the city working. And so Babylon the Great right now, what will they do if you have your own farm? Like in Roosevelt's time where we had victory gardens. You have a lot of cities all across the United States that are leftist cities. And what will they do? They will shut you down for having these farms. We see it in Oregon where if you collect rainwater, they go after you. Go ahead.
I see the United Nations being more Babylon the Great because she's likened to a whore who made love to many kings. That's the United Nations. And the Watchtower used to call it the Great Harlot.
Now, the problem I have with this, Steen, gold and silver into the streets, worthless. Well, it goes to a thing called translation, lost in translation. Gold and silver is back then they didn't have fiat currency. They didn't have a word called currency. So if you were writing this Bible way back when, and the word was currency, they didn't exist. Currency did not exist. So what do? You use the next best word. And so gold and silver are into the streets.
And that's not a good interpretation of scripture. I'm going to find it in Revelations. That's not a good interpretation. The Bible never says that gold is going to be it's going to be worthless.
It's not worthless. And because God made gold and silver and everything has a purpose in life. A currency is a man-made. It's like the 666. It's a man's number. Currency and central bank digital currency is a man's number. It's man-made. It doesn't have the same the same properties that God gave gold and silver. So when this was written, just my opinion, it has nothing to do with the physical properties of gold and silver. They will always be here because God. Why did God give humans gold and silver? One of many reasons. Uh, did you know that the space Hubble, not the Hubble, the James Webb Telescope, has a gold plating, and that's how it's able to get those images allegedly. But it's a gold plating mirror. But gold and silver have properties like every other element. But one of the beautiful things about gold and silver is that it's used as a weight. So if Ruby wants to sell me some avocados from Florida, and she wants oranges from Arizona, we need something to counterbalance that weight, so we know we're doing a fair trade. So that was the beautiful thing about gold and silver here on Earth. It has its properties. Now, what other properties it has in the heavens, I don't know. But on Earth, it has its properties. So that was when people talk about that, Steen. That's what I bring up. So yeah, and I hope you did take notes on that. You can't eat gold if there's no bread, but rich people do eat gold, and it's called gold leaf, and you already know about that. And rich people do put gold in their teeth. So, but that's another thing. Ruby, we went on left. That was a foul ball that we went off, huh?
No, that's okay. I was listening to you guys. But Jesse mentioned about the money where he says, "In God we trust," right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, I don't believe God is present in any form of government or material things like that. Because when I think about the money, the design, the symbolism behind it, like he was saying, the Freemasonry and stuff, things like that. Then the Federal Reserve, that's why I want to do more topics about that, because if they print it, right, they print their money, they make it, and they write something like that, "In God we trust," I don't think they're talking about the same God we are.
That's a great point, Ruby, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's still there. It's like kicking Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame. You could say, Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. I understand, but the dude did play baseball.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with "In God We Trust." Yes, I understand that. I understand everything you said, but we put it there. So I want to go, why did we put it there? Who put it there?
And who is we? That's
Well,
another thing.
We as an American experiment,
Yes.
as the American experiment.
You know who he is, Jesse? I'll tell you who he is. Ron Paul is part of that we. There's a lot of people that served in Congress before Ron Paul that served like him. And they went in there and they were like Jesse says, the people who put in the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. They complained, they bitched and moaned, and they're like, no. They sat their butt on the sidewalk and on these stairs and on the front door. And they says, we're not moving our big butts until this is done. And they got it done. So here's the point. So I believe that there was a group of people that said, no, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to put God in God we trust. And then comes along another man like Ron Paul, like I just mentioned. He wanted to accomplish a lot of things, but he wasn't able to. But he was like Robert Kennedy. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get along with these guys, but I'm going to get this done. And you're able to go online right now, and you're able to go buy gold and silver, and keep it in your home or wherever you keep it. Why? Because before it was illegal to own gold. Yeah, in the 70s, 60s, it was illegal to have gold bullion. But along comes a man like Ron Paul that says, no. Before I leave Congress, I'm going to make this happen. There were a lot of Americans just like that said, no, we're going to put in God we trust. But did the children lose their way? Yes, kind of like when you look at your family. We look at our family heritage. Sometimes we come from a great family. Sometimes a couple of kids lose their way, and that's
how many people are viewing our show right now?
There was 36, but I've got 31 on one channel.
Let's say we're the founding fathers. 31. Let's say 31. Ruby, you're a founding father, and I'm sorry if I'm misgendering you, but let's just say you're one of our founding fathers, okay? And we're going to come up with a currency. And we want to keep it secular, and we're going to be separation of church and state. But you understand that God is morality, and God is the reason why there's right and wrong, yes and no, truth and false. And somehow in your work, you get it through all 31 of us to agree with you that we're going to put in God we trust in our main financial asset, our main financial certificate of money. That would be a great accomplishment of your life's work. So we would honor it. And why would it be? It would be good to find out who this person was that put it in there and what was her reasonings. And she would see it as a successful victory in her battle to keep God within this experiment of self-government, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's why I said I don't think it's the same God. You
correct.
see, just like we always say, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they preach a false Christ. It's not the same Christ that we're talking about.
Correct. But I'm saying let's not quit on our founding fathers. There had to have been something good. It's like when we were Jehovah's Witnesses and we were studying about Saul and Jonathan and everything. And when he comes to power, David found something good. God found something good in one of the descendants of Saul. That's what I'm saying. There's something in God we trust that no other nation is. Every other nation is embarrassed to put that. Can't you see that we are a shining light? Let's say all the lights are decadent, all the lights are sinners, and all the lights are communists. All the nations are doing their bad things. Their war, Israel and Gaza and Lebanon and Ukraine, we're all bad. But there's a shining little light called the United States dollar, says, in God we trust. There's something good in us.
Right. A small element of Christianity.
I don't know what it is either, but I'd like to study. I'd like to do research on that. Why did we put that there? You know who would know? Jimmy would know.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to have, we should definitely talk about this again because that's super interesting. Jesse. Yeah. One point that I was going to tell you when you said about that our dollar is better than anybody else's because we're number one because we won and etc. But our dollar is only strong the way it is because of how strong our military is how much we police the world. If we don't do that and we don't, bully other people, then we wouldn't be number one if we didn't have that strong military industrial complex. So when other countries try to thrive and make their country better and try to make their money, their currency better, we just stomp them out or get rid of them.
Now, why was Jesus resurrected on the third day?
I don't know. It was prophesied.
The Bible says that he did not see what is that word when decay? He did not enter into decay. When they opened the rock and the resurrection of Lazarus, they said, no, it must smell in there because he's been dead for all this time. There's going to be decay. But Jesus did not see decay. Jesus did not see a disintegration of his flesh and his being and his spirit. Decay did not touch Jesus Christ. And that's what happens in this experiment in self-government. We're not Jesus Christ. We had something good in the experiment in self-government, but we're seeing the decay of self-government because we're an imperfect entity. We're not Jesus Christ. There is nothing on earth. For example, there's no absolute zero on earth. You can't achieve absolute zero in our atmosphere. You can't absolute right, absolute wrong. There's no perfection in our atmosphere. And that's what happens in the experiment in self-government. Our fathers had a great thing. In all the ages in history has always been in the subjugation of the human experiment, the human lives. In slavery and bondage, white people, black people, Christian people, Islamic people have always subjugated people. And along comes in the 18th century, this experiment in self-government. It was a shining beacon. We're not perfect. Our dollar's not perfect. But even in our imperfection, it is more pure than every other form that exists today, I feel, in my opinion. And in America the Beautiful, Ray Charles says, make God that gold refined. May God thy gold refined. Our gold, our dollar is refined in God, where all the other nations refuse to put God because they form a secular form. Our American experiment, even though it was secular, we gave a divine point in it by saying, in God we trust.
Okay.
There was no separation of church and state in our dollar when the rubber hit the road. Our fathers found it necessary to put that in there. And what I'm saying is, hey, let's not surrender it. We're better than everybody. It's like a baseball team puts on a uniform, the Yankees, and they go, oh, we're in last place. Yeah, guys, don't surrender. We're the Yankees. We're better than everybody. This is who we are. And I'm not ready to surrender on the American experiment when I've already seen the other nations. Do you think that the Russians who are Russian Orthodox have anything in common with the Indians of India who are, no, religiously secular? They have nothing in common. They're like in Daniel's fleet when it gets hit by that rock in the Daniel's prophecy. They're all rocks and held by clay. The American dollar is more secure, more strong, because we have in God we trust. We're better than they are.
It's like I agree with you, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, we wouldn't be able to achieve anything that America did if it wasn't for killing other people and killing other nations for us to be number one and the best. In my opinion, Russia and like their state religion, which is Orthodoxy, I think they got Christianity more right than any other nation. And yet they tell us that they are our enemy when they're not. They are our Christian brothers and sisters.
See, that's why I'm Jesse the American, because I have the right to be right and you guys have the right to be wrong. So it doesn't matter your opinion that you just state. It's wrong because if you see what we have on earth right now, if you go to Russia right now and you offer somebody on the street some bricks or some dollars, I would bet my life that they're going to take the dollar. And if you go to Mexico and you offer some bricks or some dollars, they're going to take the dollars. And it's that way all over the planet. If you go to Afghanistan, even if we left in disgrace, they will still take the dollar. What I'm saying, even in our worst day, we're better than everybody on the block.
Yeah, I agree.
Why is it? It has something to do with our foundation. We accepted God in our secular form when other nations don't. Other nations are embarrassed to talk about God. We in our founding didn't. We put him in our founding documents. Even when we don't say the word God, we put it, all men are created equal. We tricked the communists. We said, oh, they go, we're going to have separation of church and states. We're not going to talk about God. And Thomas Jefferson said that all men are created. So he still found God in our founding documents.
And you don't think there's any other nation that has put God at the forefront?
Yes, but they're second place. They don't matter to me. We're number one.
Okay.
But they don't matter to me.
Yeah, but they are still our Christian brothers and sisters. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't go to war and kill my Christian brother or sister.
No. But you treat them like second-class citizens. They're stepchildren. Yeah, they're my stepchild. Yeah, we won, and so we're gonna gloat. Didn't you see Gilbert's video? We're number one. We're number one.
So does it matter to you whether it's fair or not?
No, because we won, and we got the victory. We got the ring. Do you think King David was crying or because somebody else was not going to be king? He's still going to be king. Look, you're not Jesus Christ. We're not Jesus Christ. We're not perfect. And allow me this imperfection to gloat when we are number one. Maybe when we get to heaven, we'll stop gloating. But in the imperfection as human beings, we're going to gloat. We're number one. Maybe in heaven, I'll be number two.
This may be a little weird. It's not really off topic, but just when Jesse was mentioning that about, there's good people, there's a lot of good people, even in a bad system. It's basically because I always would tell Jesse where he says, you have done more evil than all those who lived before you. He was Jeroboam. He basically caused the civil war, and the 12 tribes of Israel gone. The 10 tribes of the north ceased to exist. So it would be like all of the 50 countries of the states of the United States, they all go, and you're just left with Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, right? All of the other states just go. So that president would just be like the worst thing ever. And so because of this, I'm going to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off Jeroboam, every last male in Israel. But he says, go back, put in your city, the boy will die. And he goes, and in Israel will mourn for him. He is the only one belonging to Jeroboam, the king, who will be buried, because he's the only one in the house of Jeroboam in whom the Lord God of Israel has found anything good. Now, I know a lot of people, atheists, Bible bashers, hate it. But he's the only one that got a proper burial. And that's very significant because Jesus says that those in the commemorative tombs, God, even though the boy died, because it was basically a civil war, right? Even though the boy died, God didn't forget all of the good things, and He had something better for him laid out in the future. But the point is that there was a lot of good in people, and even though they, in our country, there's been a lot of bad and everything. There's also been a lot of good, and so the people that when Jesse was saying about that put in God we trust. They were like that little boy. Sure, there was a lot of people doing some bad stuff, but these people died making sure that in God we trust was going to be on that money.
Hey,
And that's where I always mention that verse to Jesse, and that was a story behind it.
And the night before Martin Luther King died, he says, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the truth." He says, "I have crossed over." I have no doubt that Martin Luther King has seen glory. Very few men in history are allowed the privilege of seeing glory. Moses saw glory. I believe Martin Luther King when he says, "Mine eyes have seen the glory." I believe Sousa, when he wrote that song, he had seen glory. "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." Is renting out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. I really believe that. For example, you and I have witnessed glory. For example, a couple years ago, there was a uprising in Cuba. The Cubans had nothing. Let's say you're a Cuban person in Havana and you have nothing. You don't have no land. You don't have a home. Everything belongs to the state. You are a non-entity to the state. You're a serial number. You're not a human being. You're not a landowner. You are nothing as a human being. So all of a sudden, you're out protesting in the street. Ruby, we saw it on CNN, ABC News, Fox News. We saw those people, and they were protesting before the government cracked down on them. And what were they waving, some of them, in their hands?
Mm-hmm.
The American flag.
Mm-hmm.
Those people had the American spirit. A person who had nothing, a person who doesn't have a house, a chicken, a dog, he can't own nothing. Even the cows in their farms are owned by the state. They have nothing.
Right.
So when they stood up, the only thing that they didn't raise the cross, they didn't raise the Bible, they raised an American flag as a symbol of I will not be tread upon.
Mm-hmm.
Because America is a spirit, and therefore we were graced with being able to see the glory of the coming of the Lord. We were able to see the American, the person who was a Cuban, interpret freedom, interpret the human experiment in self-government in the form of a cross. In the form of an American flag.
Mm-hmm.
In the form of an American flag.
Mm-hmm.
A person who had nothing, his only aspirations came in the form of an American flag because he held the America to be a spirit. And that's what I'm saying about the American experiment in self-government.
Mm-hmm.
It's unique in the annals of human history. It's unique. It is something so great, and I invite all Americans to embrace it. It's the American pageant. For example, when you're with your friends and you go, "I want to go see this movie." Why? Because it's so beautiful. It tells a story about a man and a woman who had children, and and it's a beautiful story, and I want to share it with you. And that's what the American pageant is. It's the American pageant is the experiment in self-government which moved people from the ashes of total destruction, of total subjugation, into the ability of where they could become kings of their castle, of their homes, of their city. It's a beautiful
I agree.
story.
So
But people would say the same thing or feel the same way with a Confederate flag or a Nazi flag or any other flag.
But they're wrong. We beat them.
yeah, we beat them. And also,
Mhm.
so Ruby, like I always love this quote of Martin Luther King: "A man who won't die for something is not fit to live." And it's so true
Mhm.
because those people who fought tooth and nail to put "In God We Trust" in the money, let's just go with that, have inspired Ron Paul, who inspired
Mhm.
Rand Paul, who inspired Donald Trump. You don't think Donald Trump is inspired by the words "In God We Trust" when he sees the bills? He thinks about it. Why?
Mhm.
Because men and women of the past were willing to die for something, and the
Mhm.
surviving generations, we're the benefactors of it. That's why that quote of Martin Luther King is so powerful. A man who's not willing to die for something is not fit to live, because he's not giving the next generation a foundation to which to build it. And
Mhm.
I do believe when you hear, this is where I disagree with a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll say, "Oh, they're Masons or they're this, or that." No, I don't want to bash my grandfather. I don't want to bash the people who lived before me, because I wasn't an eyewitness. If the evidence doesn't point to it, I'm not going to go there. I do believe
Mhm.
there was a lot of great people who came before me, and I don't want to talk bad and ill of the dead because they were not able to defend themselves. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I know you guys quote a lot of Martin Luther King Jr., but in my opinion, he was a Fed and an instigator in a lot of things during his time. So I have not dived into that. That's just like my surface level opinion of Luther King Jr. I do not believe the type of history that we were taught about him. Just like the same I feel about with Hitler, we were not taught the unbiased view with history. They just told us this guy was a bad guy, believe it, and that's it. And if you criticize or if you try to look into it, then you're an anti-Semitic or you're racist or whatever. So I'm not in that fear anymore. And I'm actually reading about these things, reading the other narrative, the other side of the story. So with Martin Luther King, it's like, yeah, he did some good things. He said some great things, but I don't know. To me, it's a little shady with Martin Luther King Jr. So that's that's just that's just how I feel about him.
You know what? I agree. There's so much about it. For example, in 1960, Republican Richard Nixon, Milhouse Nixon, or John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Democrat. Who did Martin Luther King support?
Oh, I don't know. I think
In the
I think
1960 United States presidential election, Richard Milhouse Nixon, Republican, or John F. Kennedy, Democrat?
I don't know, but I think he supported the Republican one.
Correct. Why?
Tell us.
No clue. I don't know.
Because Kennedy was Catholic and Nixon was Baptist, and so was Richard Nixon, Southern Baptist. So was Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of fear of Catholics, and it's deeply ingrained in the American experiment. Yeah, you're right in a lot of things you say. But listen, and this is the thing about the subjugation of mankind, and this goes back to think about it. In the long history of man, we have been subjugated, and as Jehovah's Witnesses, it was ingrained in us from Nimrod building bricks, from Pharaoh building bricks and being whipped. That is the life of the human experiment. Imagine you had a husband that you love, and then the Pharaoh would take you away and rape you and take you away from your husband. Well, that was the subjugation of mankind. That is the history of mankind. It wasn't Romeo and Juliet. Right. It was the separation of all the love of our ancestors. So great men like Martin Luther King were talking about this, the elevation of the human spirit. Now, a lot of people say, well, Martin Luther King was this, Martin Luther King was a plagiarist, yes, I understand. But the love of his people and allowing it, when he said, all I want is for America to honor what they put on paper.
That's all he wants.
Right.
All he wanted, and he summed it up into honor that all men are created equal. And he goes, and somewhere I read about freedom of speech, and somewhere I read that all men are created equal, and somewhere I read, and all he wanted was, and I really believe this about Martin Luther King, and the hair stands on my skin when I talk about that. He wanted the elevation of the human race, and he wanted black people to be equal to white people. And not in equity, but in opportunity. He wanted a level playing field. He wanted the umpire to call a strike, whether you were white or black, or a ball. And that is the greatness of Martin Luther King.
And the reason I love him, Martin Luther King, is everything Jesse said. And he wanted the government to cash that check that had bounced. He had mentioned in that speech in Washington that you bounced the check, but we know it's still good. And you're going to honor that all men are created equal. That's all he wanted. And then they killed him. They also killed John Lennon because he didn't want the war in Ukraine the war in Vietnam to continue. So John Lennon says, let's give peace a chance. And later on, they put a bullet in his head. Martin Luther King says, you know what, we're going to change everything, and we're not going to be violent about it. We're just going to sit our butt down. And what do? They kill him. Because the power was with we the people. And so Lincoln, like I told you, gets the $5 bill, gets rid of the bank, and then also frees these slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation, and they put a bullet in his head. And then John F. Kennedy gets a bullet in his head when he prints the $5 bill and also keeps the silver in the coins. They put a bullet in his head, and then they kill his little brother who likes to fight the CIA. I mean, not the CIA, the mobs. And then they try to kill Reagan, but then Donald Trump says there will not be a centralized digital currency in my administration, and the BRICS nation is all based on the centralized digital currency. Wow. And who would want to kill Donald Trump once, twice, or 3 times? So all I'm saying is, without knowing all of the evidence, Martin Luther King he paid for it with his life. And a lot of people have paid for it with their life. And for me, that's good enough for me. I don't know, but
who is they, Gigi?
Huh?
Who is they?
They it's not in it like Donald Trump saying. I think on the Valuetainment website they asked that same question. It's not like a group of people, like 6 people that have like we're part of this committee. It's like a conglomerate of them. It's like the deep state is just all of these bureaucrats that are fighting for their, like people in the FDA. The people in the FDA hate Donald Trump, but they're not going to secret society meetings and being part of the deep state. They just know that their jobs are on the line because they don't want to give we the people.
The one who in my recollection of who they is, my recollection, if I ever get asked that question, I would say, well, let's quote the words of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was very eloquent. That's why they had to shoot down Ronald Reagan, because in the annals of history, seldom does a great man like John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. These are not eloquent men. Ronald Reagan was an eloquent man. He could put the advancement of freedom in an eloquent, almost Shakespearean form, but was simple enough that the common worker could take it. Hence the Blue Dog Democrats. So Ronald Reagan appealed to the common beer drinker, to the caviar eater. Ronald Reagan appeared to everybody, and he says the martyrs of history were not fools, and are honored dead who fought the advance of Nazism and fought the advance of communism. That's who they are. Ronald Reagan was talking about those who would fight against we the people. He goes, what is this about the masses? Who are these the masses? That's not the way we Americans address ourselves. We call ourselves we the people. We the people. And so he put it in a common language of who is they and who is us. We the Americans, we the people. And he empowered the American people. He was returning. He was actually bringing Washington and Lincoln to the 20th century. He was channeling them almost. Well, I won't use that word because we're Jehovah's Witnesses. But he was almost channeling Jefferson and Washington, and Samuel Adams and all of our founding fathers. And he was reminding who we are. The martyrs of history were not fools. And that's what Martin Luther King, he's a martyr of history. These men died for a righteous cause. When we go into battle, the general sits down with the young men who have their mothers and fathers and their young wives back home, and he goes, our fight is just. Why does he say our fight is just? Because he knows he's about to lead these young men into a lost cause. And so there must be a moral victory the night before there is a physical defeat. And that's what Martin Luther King did. He led us into a moral victory, even though he had a physical defeat. It was spiritual. Now, here's the problem. There's decay. And one of your comment sections said that Jesus did not see corruption. I call it decay. But he did not see corruption. Now, the American Civil Liberties movement is nothing like Martin Luther King wanted. He said, judge a man not by the content, not by the color of his skin, but the content of his character. That's not what Obama is. Hit Obama before you hit Martin Luther King. Because at least Martin Luther King says, judge a man not by the content of his character, not by the color of his skin. Obama was the other day talking about people to vote for Kamala Harris because of the color of her skin.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So let's hit the current civil rights leaders, the ones who adopted, the ones who have inherited the sweat of Martin Luther King's brow.
Yeah, no, you're right. But that's what brings me back to the other point that I made earlier is like, if they are willing to do anything to defend their existence, right? They are willing to disappear you, assassinate you. They will either take out leaders of other nations if they try to threaten the American dollar or the power of the dollar and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So I don't, in my opinion, I don't think that America would ever fall in that way, because they would do everything in their power to defend it, because we have such a strong military, and that's how they want to keep us. They want to keep us, the military as the strongest and the biggest in the entire world, so that they have the power to stay here forever.
Correct. You are correct. Do you notice, if you listen to intellectuals speak, well, the ones that have previously passed away to the pearly gates, like Rush Limbaugh or some of the great Paul Harvey, they always talk about America as founded. America, there will always be an America, and that was something neat about our fathers that came before us, the previous generation. They always told us about the communist takeover of our politics or the Marxist takeover of our politics. There will always be an America. Now, to the Marxists and the communists, America is the last euphoria. America is the last euphoria. William Buckley had a great article back in the 70s and 80s. America, the left's last euphoria. This is their last stand. They failed in China. They failed in Russia. They failed in the Soviet Union. They failed in Cuba. So America is their last euphoria. So there'll always be a United States. For example, let's say that they invade the United States and they have an Olympics 4 years ago. United States will still be United States, but it will not be as founded. That's why if you listen to the great intellectuals, the conservative intellectuals that talk about it, they always use that word, as founded. There will be an America, and the United Nations and all these, but it's not the America as George Washington saw it. It's not the America as Thomas Jefferson, as the founding fathers, as the signers of the Declaration of Independence. So you are correct. There will still be an America, but it won't be as founded.
Correct. And, Kat says every institution has been infiltrated by globalists, and those are against freedom or for the people. That's right. So you say, who are the globalists? Who are the, they? And it goes back, we can trace it all the way back to Babylon the Great. Ever since Babylon the Great with Nimrod, and a lot of the great commentators today of the like Rush Limbaugh would call them Nimrods. These people are Nimrods, and they infiltrate. They always try to get government jobs. And what do all of these Nimrods do all over the world, all over the globe? Is they want to have that centralized control. And like here, why does Watchtower not produce that Awake magazine? Because the centralized control doesn't want the people, we the people, to produce that magazine. But here's the point. The point is that since Babylon the Great, since Babylon, all Nimrod, all the way to 2024, what Cat B is saying, and what we're all saying, is this has been the story of human beings. It is true what Jesus says. We're experiencing it with our eyes, that there are two groups of people, the wheat and the weeds. There are people that always want to control other people, centralized control, and those other ones of that turn from green to golden color, like the wheat. We go from green to gold. What do we have? We all love freedom, we love truth, and we love to mind our own business. So there really are two types of people. There are Nimrods, and there's freedom-loving people. And so it's the same story being told over and over again. And so that's why we're always fighting. That's why in politics we're always fighting, because the Nimrods never stop. They're like the cockroaches that always, you kill one and three more come out.
You know what, Gilbert? And I always think there was a third person.
Who's that?
For example, you have your Nimrods and you have your slaves. Those that like to control and those that like to be controlled. Then you also have the third person like Moses, who Moses found it necessary to kill the Pharaoh's worker who was whooping the Jewish slave. So there's also like us, we're like Moses. Well, Mike and Kim don't believe there's Moses, huh? Yeah. But anyways, we believe there's Moses. And we're the ones who saying, hey, don't whip our brothers. We'd rather not be part of you. We'll give up our pension. We'll give up our 401k, but we're not going to have nothing the hell to do with you. Child traffickers, we're not going to have anything to do with you. Nation invaders, we'd rather live our private lives, get away from you, and live in poverty than to betray our country, than to betray our God, than betray our values. And that's what Moses did. He had to go 40 years in exile, didn't he? Yeah, 40 years in exile. Ruby, so I misgendered you twice. Now I called you Moses.
Man, guys.
You're not
great show.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe in Moses? Do you believe there was a Moses?
Yeah.
Because there's people in the Jehovah's Witness world, they believe that Moses is fake. You know how you believe that we didn't land on the moon?
Yeah.
There's people that think that there was no Moses.
Yeah, but no, my cousin told me one time that in a conversation she had with another JW, they went as far as to say they don't believe in demons. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense. If we believe in angels and Jesus and Jehovah, and we believe that, there was a war in heaven and the third of the heavens fell and Satan is exists and there is demons. How could you say as a Jehovah's Witness you don't believe in demons? That doesn't make any sense. That was the first time that I realized that sometimes they don't believe in a lot of things.
Well, what state was she from?
New York.
Oh. But you should have told her Chuck Schumer's your senator.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
You got to be fast on the draw, Ruby. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that was her experience. That was her experience that she told me, now. That was a long time ago. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So
is it the cousin that's always doing videos with you? What's her name?
Yeah. Tony.
Is she your age?
No, she's 31.
Okay, but you guys are cousins, first cousins, right?
Yeah.
And you both left around the same time?
No. I left in 2015 and she physically stopped around a year ago.
Okay. Now, did she shun you when you left?
Yeah.
Wow, that hurt. Do you love her a lot? Like, you guys are real close cousins?
Oh, we were. Yeah, we were super close. And then after she was and her sister were shunning me, they didn't talk to me for a little while. But then they started talking to me again and they apologized and we came back together. We started talking to each other again.
That is so good because you guys have a natural back and forth real good.
Hey, this is the part that Jesse was saying about like the different type. And it says, by faith, Moses' parents hid him, right? When he had grown up, he refused to be known as a son of Pharaoh's daughter. He had chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. So, yeah, that's the American. There's
Go
a lot
back,
of
go back.
No,
Okay.
I'll go back. You know what? I think I will go back. I'm just kidding. So,
No, you left out the most romantical part.
Mhm.
He regarded, oh my God, this is real romantic. For the
Yeah,
Christian, this is
he regarded
poetry.
disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the
Gilbert,
treasure.
let me read it. Because you're a governing body, you're a theocrat. But I'm
Yeah.
we the people. Okay. He says, he regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. By faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who was invisible. Wow, that is beautiful.
So that's the
Did you see
American.
the movie? Did you see the movie The Prince of Egypt?
No, it's just the Charleston Heston one. But that describes the American. That Bible text, Americans believe that, not, in that we want something better than the 401k. We want something better than the US dollar and everything else. There's something greater. And that's what a lot of the people, that's why like the people in the government, a lot of Democrats, they hate us. Us Bible Christians, Americans, because we know that there's something great, and that's and for them, America is just something like what John F. Kennedy said. He goes, "That's not what your country can do for you, but what you could do for your country." A lot of people want the benefits of America.
Mm-hmm.
These Americans say, no, we got something better. We're going to pass America, like John F. Kennedy said, to another generation. We're gonna pass the ideals of freedom, freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of thought, the exercise of be able to gather freely as a gift to our posterity, which is written in the preamble of the Constitution. So these Americans, they think like Moses. They're thinking of the future. They're not thinking about the benefits of themselves today. Like, I'm going to vote for this person because I want my EBT card, or I want I want that government contract. No, we think of America from a different perspective. Go ahead, Jesse. I got to do something.
Yeah. You know what? There was these two men in American history in the 20th century that they had similar words, and they couldn't be further apart, but they couldn't be similar together. John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. For example, in the 1960 inaugural address, John F. Kennedy talked about the United Nations being the last best hope for man on earth. And in the 1964 Republican National Convention speech, Ronald Reagan says, "We shall preserve for ourselves and our children this, the last best hope for man on earth, or sentence our children to 1,000 years of total darkness." So you had two men with distinct, they loved America. John F. Kennedy loved America, but he saw the United Nations as an arbiter, and he called it the new frontier, as an arbiter for the last best hope for man. And Ronald Reagan never surrendered the American dream. Ronald Reagan never surrendered. He says, "We shall preserve for ourselves and our children this, the last best hope for man on earth." So he wasn't forsaking Jesus Christ. He was not forsaking. He says on earth. He knows in heaven Jesus Christ reigns supreme. But he goes, for on earth, this, the last best place for man on earth, or sends our children to 1,000 years of total darkness. And so that there is the corruption I was talking about, the disintegration. Some of our brothers gave the United Nations too much power. Some of it gave the global state too much power. Dwight David Eisenhower, he says that beware of the military-industrial complex, because they had too much power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Kamala said at her rally the other day when somebody chanted, "Christ is Lord," and she said, I think you're at the wrong rally.
Yeah.
That's kind of how what you just described, you can see the difference between, like, it's just so obvious. It's just super obvious that they are not they just don't have God in their policy or in their love of country or anything. They worship the God of money and and power. That's what they worship. Those are their gods.
And you know what? When we were kids, we always war game things, scenarios. We used to war game the Civil War. I mean, the Civil War, the Cold War, or a nuclear blast. Or we used to war game things. And for example, as growing up Christian and American during the Cold War, I always thought about the question of if prayer was illegal. Like, for instance, you can't pray in front of a Planned Parenthood and block. You're going to go to prison.
Yeah.
So I always thought, what if the communists take over here and they outlaw prayer? So we were taught as Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses and different denominations, you pray in silence.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take that away from you. You close your mind and God will hear you. And I remember when I was a little kid, I always wondered if God can hear me pray. And I remember because at night I used to have the habit of praying. My sister was Catholic, and Gilbert knows this. She prays out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Gilbert were taught to pray in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
But our Catholic sister, because she was still Catholic, the oldest, she would vocalize everything externally, and she could not vocalize it internally. So I always wondered if God could hear my prayers. I didn't know. So those are the questions. So, but as a Christian, you always war game these scenarios out. So we would always have, even if the secularists were to take over, we would always find ways to put a wrench in the system. We would rage against the machine. See how everything has changed? Back then, we would put a wrench in the system. We would rage against the machine. We would do them in, us Christians. You know, they say you can't pray, so we would pray. We were taught to be rebels, but rebels for Christ, rebels for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And see, that's the beautiful thing about the American experience and freedom. Because like I've always told people for years, as you know, doing apostate work, that if you just send people down the road to freedom, if I send Ruby, go down this road. It's called Freedom Road. Ruby, you know who's going to be at the end of the road, right? It's Jesus. Because Jesus is freedom. The land, the dominion of the free. Like the word kingdom. Kingdom is the dominion of the king. So freedom is the dominion of the free. Jesus Christ is the Jesus Christ is freedom. So he's at the end of the road. So by sending people down the road of freedom in America, you're sending them down to Jesus. I don't have to hold your hand to get you there. I go, hey Ruby, just go down the road of freedom. And then you're gonna come to me and says, Gilbert, you're gonna come to me 2-3 years later, you're gonna be like, Gilbert, how did you know I was gonna be meeting Jesus at the end of the road? See, so that's why we don't have to be preachy all the time. Now, I want to show this clip, right? You know, this thing of Clooney. Clooney goes, we were talking about Moses. Moses did not step foot in the promised land, and he's right. And remember this picture in the Jehovah's Witness publications, and that's in the Transfiguration. So Moses and Elijah are right there with Peter and the two other apostles. And so Jesus is talking to Moses and Elijah. So, so what if you didn't enter the promised land? You're in the Transfiguration. I mean, how awesome is that? And so, Clooney, you're right. Moses didn't enter the promised land, but he was one of two people with Jesus Christ in the Transfiguration. Mind-blowing, And I've talked to a few people, the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're like, "What's the Transfiguration?" I'm like, "You went to the Kingdom Hall for how many years?" And they didn't know what the Transfiguration was.
I don't know what that is either. I'm actually learning about those things now that I've been going to this Orthodox church.
Wow. This was part of our religious. This was in the Watchtower magazine.
What Orthodox church are you going to?
It's Orthodox Catholic.
Okay, but is it like Greek Orthodox or Russian Orthodox or?
Ukrainian.
Oh, Ukrainian. Okay,
Mhm.
because I belong to the Latvian Orthodox Church. I got the
Yeah.
Kavorka.
No. Hey,
The
Ruby,
lure of the wild.
you don't remember this in my book of Bible stories?
Not that picture specifically, no. And I've never heard the phrase. I mean, I've never heard the word transfiguration. Like I've never heard those words before.
Maybe in that book it used a different word. But
Hey,
Maybe.
Ruby, I got a question for you. Do you speak any Spanish?
No.
You didn't learn Spanish?
I mean, I could read it and I understand, conversations, but I can't like
Beautiful, good
comprehend.
enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a test for you to show you how we're the superior race, the American race.
Okay.
Okay, in Spanish, can you say cat?
Yeah.
How do you say cat?
Gato.
Gato. Okay.
Mhm.
How do you say baseball in English?
Baseball.
Baseball. Okay, real good. How do you say Jehovah in English?
Jehovah.
Okay, real good. So you know the
Mhm.
language, there's translation. Okay, how do you say libertad in libertad in
Mhm.
English?
Liberty.
Okay, how do you say freedom
Oh
in
yeah.
Spanish?
It could. Yeah, that means freedom too.
Yeah, but give me the word for freedom in Spanish.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I don't know that one.
Gilbert told you a few seconds ago.
go ahead, just answer.
Transliterated. Freedom. El
Mhm.
dominio del libre. There is
Mhm.
no word in Spanish for freedom. So
Mm.
remember I told you a little while ago that some of us are graced with the privilege of seeing grace, or some of us are given the privilege of seeing grace. In the
Mhm.
English language, we have this beautiful word that shows up somewhere around the 1500s, somewhere around the 16th century, maybe in
Mhm.
the Magna Carta, maybe in the English vernacular, freedom,
Mhm.
which in other languages means the dominion of the free, the land of the free.
Mhm.
But in English, we have one word because a lot of people see the English as like a Neanderthal language. Can you believe that? Where we feel it's the superior language, English.
Mhm.
So we have this one special word called freedom. So when people come from other countries to America, they
Mhm.
don't know what we're talking about when we talk freedom of religion, freedom. They don't.
Okay.
That word doesn't exist in their vernacular.
But libertad, does that not mean liberated?
No, it means it's a Greek goddess, Greek mythology, Libertas. She's a Greek
Mm.
goddess in Greek mythology. It's a different word. I know
Mhm.
it has morphed into a similar word and it could be a
Mhm.
synonym of it, but it's not a translation of the word freedom.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ruby, so you never going just back about that about freedom. No, you didn't know that, and you didn't know about the transfiguration.
No, my mom never taught me about that at all. Nope.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Mhm.
Oh, what are they teaching this place?
There's it. Go back. That was
What do
that
they
was
teach?
and Jimmy
Where?
Bell was there too.
I know. Where are you?
Yeah, that is why when I woke up that everything I thought to be true Christianity was wrong. That's why it hit me as hard as it did, because I thought I was, true, hearted Christian, believed in Jehovah and Jesus, believed in all of these things, and then to come to find out I didn't even know who Lucifer was. I've never heard that name before. I don't know certain core like fundamental Christianity terms and just theology wise. I didn't know what that was, and then I felt so stupid, and I'm like, how could they do this to me? Like I thought I knew everything. I thought I read the Bible like hundreds of times, and I didn't know anything.
Wow. So you were like you were taking a crash course, right?
Yeah, it was a hard pill for me to swallow, that I've basically wasted my whole childhood and my whole teenage life, just my whole entire life at that time, that I've wasted it thinking that I knew what the truth was, that I knew what the scriptures said, that I interpreted it the correct way. And all of 17 years down the drain, I didn't even know who I didn't even know basic things. It was just a waste of time. But if you ask me anything that had to do with Watchtower, I knew everything like the back of my hand. But then if you ask me something about the Bible, I knew absolutely nothing. And to me, that felt like they set me up to fail. And I hated that about that. So I resented my mom for a really long time, because she would make it seem as if I did know when I didn't know anything. So that's why I started going to this Orthodox church. And I literally went to them, and I said, I am coming here as like a brand new baby. I don't know anything, and I'm starting from a clean slate. So I'm taking it in really slowly.
Wow. So, Guido's right. Once you learn tat, you can't unlearn it. It's wow. Yeah, I forget. Just we forget that's so true. We forget what she said, and we forget what Guido says. Sometimes we think that, hey, I think what's wrong with Ruby? Why aren't you up to speed? Once you learn tat, you can't learn. A lot of people have to catch up. There's so much that was hidden from us.
But Gilbert, I'd like to share one thought, and maybe you guys could.
We'll bring in Dallas. Yeah, go ahead.
About Ruby said that it was a waste of time. I don't think it's a waste of time. I think she learned valuable. I think Ruby even would agree with me that now she knows what it's like to grow up in a cult, so she has a story to tell that can help so many people.
Yeah, So and Dallas, he's the guy from. He used to be from Arizona.
Yeah, but still there, still from there.
He ditched us, man.
I forgot my earbuds, and I thought I'm gonna cause a feedback.
Yeah,
so I just shut the lid on my Chromebook.
It was cold in Arizona today. It got down to like in 89.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but for the first time, it was literally hell on earth.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've been watching it, and it should cool off because it's getting close to State Fair.
Yeah. We got our fair this weekend in Yuma.
Clooney came in at the right time, Dallas. So we're glad you came in, because we always want to hear what you think about me and my show. So welcome to the show.
I always like your show. I feel guilty. I'm cheating on Linda Apostate, babe. But, well. I give you both. I give you both attention.
I love Linda, man. Yeah. But, I think I'm about to hop off, guys. Getting late. Yeah, she's on the west. She's in Florida, and there's another hurricane. There's another hurricane.
Yeah, and it's almost 3 a.m.
What?
Just before
there's
you go,
hurricane?
There's another hurricane forming in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, it's about to hit Cuba.
Yeah.
But they can't take out the darkness because it's already dark.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that. Hopefully, it doesn't come over here, because we just went through Milton, and that was hell.
Yes.
Oh no.
Milton Henshaw.
It's called Oscar. Is it called Oscar or?
Yeah, Oscar. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. But it's 3 a.m. where I'm at, so I'm about to hop off.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. I loved it. Enjoyed the show, and I'll catch you next time.
Say hi to your cousin for us.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Dallas, what do you think about that comment? We are all PhD level graduates in cults.
Yeah, that's about true. I mean, there's a whole lot you have to get your therapist up to speed on when you talk about your background. It's like, it's just like my mom when she would talk to an elder about her problems. It's like they deserved it.
Yeah. Oh,
sure.
I'm still thinking about what 587 says, that it is true, Jesse. That, like you just mentioned that to Ruby, that it's not a waste, because the PhD level graduate that she got in cult worship, that's going to benefit her for the rest of her life, and she's a young girl.
Yeah, and you know what? I heard somewhere Ruby's going to that Orthodox church,
Mhm.
but for a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, for a lot, I know for me and my wife, it's real hard. We go to a church, but we have a hard time being members of any church. But I want to go to a church and I just want to sit there, shut my pie hole, sit in the corner and watch, enjoy the music, enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy the fellowship, and listen. But I don't want to be a member. It's hard for me to be a member. Yeah.
But Jesse, a lot of people are the same way, and I'm like that when it comes to politics. You know, I love being an independent. I don't want to participate in a primary. I'm okay because I trust there's enough Republicans, Democrats. You guys can do your primary stuff. There's enough of you. You don't need me. I'm happy with it. I just don't like. I don't work for a company to wear their logo. I don't want to wear anybody's logo. I don't even. You know, if it's not my logo, I ain't wearing that shirt. Yeah.
You know what? For being the GG for GB, I can't remember another night when you've been more wrong. But as long as we're Americans, you have the right to be wrong.
Well, no,
but it's very important. It's very important to be a member of the Republican Party because it shouldn't have to matter who our representative is. In a perfect world, it shouldn't matter if it was Bobby Kennedy, Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump. It shouldn't matter. But certain people get to Washington and they act different than other people. Yeah. For example, Joe Biden jails his political opponents. Donald Trump doesn't. So Donald Trump is more uniquely American than Joe Biden is. Yeah. So it shouldn't have to matter. You would wish that Joe Biden loved his country and wouldn't jail his political opponents. But that doesn't happen in the world. For example, let's say you're coming to Earth and you're a baby and you land in a Democrat's womb or a Republican womb. What is the better chance that you're going to be born?
Yeah. Exactly.
It shouldn't have to matter. It shouldn't matter. It should not matter. But it does.
Oh no, I'm with you. But no, I'm with hey, listen, man, I'm with all of those people and I support them. I'm just saying, I don't want it's kind of like remember that Clooney, I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld, but in Seinfeld, Kramer is marching with the AIDS people. But he doesn't want to wear the pink ribbon. And the guy goes, "What? You're not wearing a ribbon?" He goes, "No, I'm against AIDS." "Yeah, but you're not wearing a ribbon." Because I don't want to wear the ribbon. And that's all I'm saying is I don't like wearing a name badge. I don't like wearing a company logo. I'm not going to be
I'm used to it.
Yeah, that's just me. But I'm happy. I was faithful to the Republican Party. I gave them all my votes. Whether or not it was flipped by a computer, I don't know. I guess I can go back and check. But
if you don't go to the primaries and vote there, that you're kind of giving up a lot of power. That your vote is really important in the primaries.
No,
you're voting for a lot of people that are not like you that are not voting.
Maybe I should get involved in the primaries. Maybe I'll stand corrected.
But it's a good education when you. I went to the Denver County Republican monthly meeting at the library.
Yeah,
and the people, the candidates would come to you, and it was free advertising for them. It was cheap, and you just learn a lot.
Yeah.
And then they give you projects to do. Like I was election judge for many years, and that's kind of important when you're in a Democrat area because they need Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'll answer this question because 587 wants to know about my take. I never liked George Carlin, but his video on education, I'll watch it. But what do you think of it? I'll tell you what I think. Donald Trump is getting it right. He figured it out, but a lot of people before him. But I think this time it's better because Donald Trump will get it done. My whole take on education is real simple. They think you're stupid. That the only people that should be deciding the education are the people in the local level. To think that people in Washington, D.C. or even in Phoenix, Arizona should be involved in your child's education means that you're too stupid in your local city to make those decisions. I think differently. I think the people of every city and every neighborhood are smart enough to educate children, kindergarten through 12th. Now, is there a role for a governor and a president to be involved in education? Absolutely. Because let's say we have a national need of engineers for X, Y, or Z. Then you can actually say, hey, we need to encourage you guys to, bring kids to this, we need more welders, we need more engineers, or whatever. But they have a sense of what's happening as far as economy and what the country needs. But to think that somebody, and this is what happens when you have centralized control. You actually have presidential candidates who want to put tampons in restrooms as if that's a priority. So when it comes to education, I believe I saw the movie, I saw the TV show Little House on the Prairie, and they did a fine job educating kids in very inexpensive rundown schools.
Yeah.
So I really believe that education for thousands of years have been done on a local level, and it's been done very well. But people get pulled into this thing that we need to do. We need to go big. Sometimes smaller is better. That's
Yeah.
That's my take.
And you know what? Like, let's talk about Tampon Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Putting tampons in men's bathrooms, in the schools, in boys' bathrooms. Let's take George Carlin's view on cynicism about electoral system, education system, because he's a cynic. He's a cynic. The Jehovah's Witnesses are a cynic.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's so much cynicism. So who wins? People like Tampon Tim wins because people drop out of the electoral. They let Tampon Tim get empowered.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to say no, you're not going to put tampons in my boy's bathroom, but because George Carlin and Jehovah are telling you it doesn't matter, then Tampon Tim gets empowered because of the cynicism.
And now, but Jesse, because a lot of people have been pounding the pavement on the education, been pounding and pounding it, guess who is on board? Donald Trump. The difference is Donald Trump, when he made a promise, he's going to do his best. Love Donald Trump, hate Donald Trump. If Donald Trump's saying that he's going to do X, Y, Z, he's going to give it his best shot. He's a man of his word. And that's why people are afraid of Donald Trump, because if he says, I'm going to do this, well, maybe he doesn't have full control, but damn well he's going to try. He's going to do it. And so when Donald Trump talked about getting rid of the Department of Education, putting it into the state, actually pisses a lot of people off on the Democrat side and in Washington, D.C., because they're afraid of their job. Because when Donald Trump says he's going to do something, he's going to fight to do it. Whether he succeeds or not, time will tell. But so Jesse, so yes, what you're saying, a lot of people have been pounding that drum. And guess what? It's paying off. It seems that it's going to pay off, and that's what we learn about Watchtower and George Carlin is not being a cynic. Persistence pays off, and I think that's one of the problems. Especially you, Clooney, who's a lot older. You see, a lot of people want things done today. I want it done now. I want my credit card. They want to buy everything now. We got kids that are not in their late 20s. And they want to have a 4 or 5 bedroom home with the pool and everything. They want it now, with a huge mortgage for 360 months. I want it now. Where we grew up, where we had a very inexpensive home, and then we paid it off, get another one and another one.
I rented. I didn't have a credit card till I was 30.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's because your Jehovah's score was very low. It was, I think, 607.
Yeah, so. That's true.
607 credit score. Yeah. So 587. I get your points. Yeah, he's cool. This guy's pretty smart, Jesse. But I think that's why I've never liked George Carlin, because at the end of the day, I felt like he didn't leave me with anything like he left me like Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, Jehovah's going to take care of it. Like, no.
He's a cynic.
Yeah.
People like Ronald Reagan, anybody of passion in a human history, understands that nothing in life is easy. Nothing in life is worth fighting. If nothing in life is worth fighting for, Ronald Reagan talked about it. If nothing in life is worth fighting for.
Yeah. Well, I put the thing with Martin Luther King about you're not fit to live. A man that's not willing to die for something is not fit to live. Yeah, that's
what if Abraham Lincoln didn't give a shit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? And I know you don't like him, but he does a really good job talking about cynicism, and it's Conan O'Brien. I know Conan, but still, he talks about cynicism. I think it was right after Norm Macdonald died, but he talks about his hate for cynicism, and and how they never get things done. at the end of the day, you got to get things done. You got to accomplish things.
It's like these people who are saying, "Oh, I'm an independent. I'm an independent."
Mhm.
Well, you're a loser.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you didn't do nothing. There's only two parties, and that's just you don't go to Las Vegas and go shoot craps, and then you change the rules. You're gonna get thrown out of the casino, or you don't play poker. These are the hands you've been dealt. You got to play with them. It's a two-party system. It's either you're left or right. Get with the program. Get in the battlefield. Engage. Win. Advance the ball. You don't go to the Super Bowl and play for the third team. It's either this side or this side. There's no third team. And there's only going to be one winner. Abraham Lincoln didn't fight for the Western powers. He fought for the Union.
So is this
George Carlin in the history? He's already forgot. Most people don't even remember him.
Is that what you're talking about right there?
Let's see.
The two sides? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It was a joke.
I'm more of a Sam Kinison fan than George Carlin, but
I don't want to. I don't want to make it
His greatest.
you knew what Sam Kinison wanted.
When he does baseball versus football, that's his greatest skit.
Yeah.
But he is a cynic.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you got to leave some. You got to leave somebody. That's what I did. That skit. Let me pull it back up. Red number 50. At the end of the day, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses are. They're cynics. They talk about how Jehovah's going to fix anything, but when they have an opportunity to make a magazine called The Wake, Is Our Food Killing Us? They don't do anything. That was the whole point of the show. And that's a good example of cynicism. We've got to wait on Jehovah. No, that's a cynic. Waiting on Jehovah is cynicism. You don't fix anything. All you do is complain. And this, I think this magazine that I had, illustrated, explains the point. You have the opportunity to fix something, but you don't do it. What do you think about that, Clooney?
I like it.
Yeah.
It looks appealing, but is it really?
Great.
Is that a steak, Gilbert, or artificial meat?
It looks like both. It looks like artificial meat. Because what steak looks like? Yeah.
Well, I thought it was ham steaks.
Yeah.
Raw.
Ham is never. It's not supposed to be pink. It's they have to add coloring to it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. So I also saw a video. Speaking of food killing us, a guy. He's a farmer, and he farms his own pork. And when he butchers the pork, he shows people the difference between, like he has a picture of, he has a side of beef, and he has his pork. And guess what? The pork looks almost like beef, red, but his is natural. He naturally grows his pork, and he goes, it doesn't. And when you go to the grocery store, that pork don't look like his farm raised pork, And I'm like, dang. Like I try not. Yeah. Now I go to the grocery stores, like everything's poison. I don't know where to go.
I have a dumb question. A pig roast they do that in Hawaii. Is that something that your culture has taken from Hawaii, or was that going on way back when in Mesoamerica? I have no idea.
I would say it went back because smoking is the way to preserve food for
No, I mean digging a hole and cooking your piglet in underneath the palm fronds, and then having the whole village share the pig.
Yeah, no, that's been going. I don't know. I don't know the story about that, but I'm sure there's a story about it. But they've been doing that since the beginning of time. No?
Who's they though?
Well, humans, because the hole in the earth is a natural
vessel to hold the oven,
heat. The heat in it. It's like a natural oven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Hey, we better have a new rule here.
What's that?
We better not use the word "they" no more.
Yeah, I know. We got to be careful. All
No,
the
I moved to Kansas, and these I get invited to the Mexicans down the street want to have me come to a pig roast, or I guess, or whatever it's called. That's a great, but it's like, that sounds familiar, but I don't remember ever doing that in Arizona.
Well, you know what? Like our neighbors, everybody have a pit, and for Thanksgiving they throw the turkeys in the pit. We'll do the pigs. We'll do beef. Anything, I guess, any protein goes good in a pit.
Okay. How about a javelina?
I don't know. You know what? We're Mexican American.
Does anybody eat those things?
I don't know.
Javelina, no.
I've seen them running around in Phoenix, North Phoenix, all the time. Yeah, but not. I've never seen them down. Where all the Caribbean people are in Phoenix, like on the I-17 in Thomas. There's a couple of
In Gila Bend, they're eating the cats and dogs. No.
Hey, but Jesse, man,
I used to live on Thomas Road. Oh well.
Yeah, but those Haitians, man, they'll show those javelinas who's in charge.
But the Haitians now, oh golly. Now, what's your idea of North Phoenix?
A lot of white people. I like it. A lot of white people. Yeah.
Bell Road.
Bell Road. Okay.
North of that, it's growing all the way. But yeah, everybody likes it up there because of.
My sister lives by by Bell Road, but it's like 92nd Street.
But that's Scottsdale.
It's Scottsdale.
Yeah, that's rich. That's rich white people.
Yeah, it's gated too.
Yeah, rich.
Gated. They're homosexuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, gated.
Oh, sorry.
So he thought.
You know what? When we got married back in '88, me and my wife in '88, June, and with Yuma, it was about we were just kids. Me and my wife, we were just kids, and we got in our car and took off. We got married, and the next morning, we had breakfast with everybody, and so we took off and we went to Phoenix, and then we went up to 17, and we got this room. We were going to go to Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon for our honeymoon.
Oh.
But we didn't make it that far that night, so we stopped in Bell Road, right there.
That's interesting.
It was at the end of town. That was in '88. It was at the way end of town. Bell Road, the 17. Yeah.
Remember Turf Paradise? Going there back in '58 or '59 for the 4th of July.
Wow.
It was kind of new then.
We used to go to the assembly, the convention in the '70s to Tucson, and we used to stop at Gila Bend. Did you ever go to Gila Bend?
I did.
Do you remember that Space Age restaurant?
No.
And it had the Twilight Zone where you would put a penny and ask a question. Remember, in the napkin holder? In the restaurant, you would put a penny in the slot. They had it in the Twilight Zone. And you would press the slot and you would put a penny and you would ask it a question, and it goes like, let's say, hey, am I going to make it home okay? Most certainly you are. Yeah. I think William Shatner did that one way back in the.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode.
That was a good episode.
I remember I've been to Stanfield even.
Yeah, on the
west side of
the road a little
Casa
bit.
Grande.
Yeah, that's almost like a ghost town.
Well, I was in Maricopa once, and I thought it was just a little pop-up 7-Eleven. Now it's like a city.
Yeah, all of Maricopa is. Yeah. Stanfield is still small. It's more like country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is that in Maricopa, Stanfield, or is that in Pima County? Or Pinal County?
Pinal.
I think it's in Pinal County.
Mm.
That's south of all the prison areas.
Oh, Eloy and all that.
All that, yeah.
Florence.
In Yuma, we can't grow because we got the Barry Goldwater bombing range. We got YPG, Yuma military.
Yeah, that's way out. Oh, yeah.
And then we got the Indian we got the Cocopan, the Kachan Nation. And we got the Bureau of Land Management. So we're landlocked in Yuma. We can't grow like Maricopa or Pinal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was a kid, people would ask me if I was related to Ira Hayes. I think he's the only person related to.
You were
from,
related to Ira Hayes?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
His name had an E in it, and my Hayes has no E.
okay. And he was Indian. He was Hopi, wasn't he? Or what was he?
Like Maricopa, I thought, but I don't know.
Yeah. Johnny Cash says it. I can't remember what he says.
Oh, the Ballad of Ira Hayes. Yeah.
Yes. I think he was a Pima Indian.
It could have been.
Yeah.
All
right. Now, because in Maricopa, that is the Tohono O'odham Nation. Tohono O'odham.
Yeah, that's over by San Xavier del Bac Mission. They got I can never pronounce that name of the Indian tribe there.
I think the race is Yaqui, because the Yaqui are the Mexican race on the northern, on the Mexican side. Like in Yuma, in Yuma and Mexicali, we have what are they called, the Cocopa Nation, and in New Mexico they're called Cucupa, and they can cross. They're like members of both nations.
And you can probably get in trouble saying it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? I have no idea what the Apologia Church is.
The what?
Somebody asked a question right there.
Apologia. Oh, you mean was that what? Maybe I know what it is.
What is it?
Apologia.
Apologia is how they'll pronounce it there. Jeff Durbin and James White. They're in Tempe.
Yeah, well, here it says that it's Stapley, so that's somewhere like in
and their YouTube channel is Alpha and Omega Ministries. If you want to see what that is. Who are they? They're Reformed Baptist. There they are.
Yeah, I like my church better, man. You know, and speaking of that, I was thinking of changing my channel name to the 15-minute church, because when Jesus spoke on the Sermon on the Mount, he didn't speak for more than 15 minutes. Yeah.
They probably didn't pay him enough.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when you guys were talking, I kind of was ignoring, and I'll show you what I do when Jesse's talking and telling everybody they're wrong. I was watching this video, and I get a kick out of it. It's always on my feed.
Oh, no.
Hey, is that Clyde?
Yeah. And look what he's doing, Jesse. He's actually doing it.
It looks like the baboon from Every Which Way But Loose.
Yeah, that's Clyde.
Yeah, and look at the, what is it, a tiger? Yeah, I think there's a tiger next to him, or a zebra. No, a tiger, the white tiger.
It looks like a tiger, a Bengal or something.
And so every time Jesse's like ripping in on everybody about being wrong, and he's right, I just go to the orangutan. So that's when he's like, what is Gilbert doing? I'm watching orangutan video as well. Jesse is...
You know what's the difference between that and a baboon?
What's that?
12 ribs.
Oh.
That's what Clint Eastwood tells Mom. Get that baboon out of here. And then Clint Eastwood goes, it's an orangutan, Ma. And he goes, what the hell difference does it? He goes, 12 ribs.
Let's see, that was in Denver, and I've lived in Denver. And then then there was the Gauntlet was in Phoenix. And then I lived in Prescott, and they had Billy Jack was filmed there, and Junior Bonner with Steve McQueen, which you probably never saw. A Tucson movie, I can't think. Oh, I know. Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo. That was with
John Wayne.
John Wayne and the guitar
Ricky
player,
Nelson.
Ricky Nelson, yeah.
And Dean Martin, that guy.
Yeah.
Dean Martin.
And
hey, you know that part where Dean Martin walks into the jail? The first scene where Dean Martin comes in. Wasn't that great acting? Like, he looks like he's just come in from the West.
Oh, it's just the whole movie's wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, so check this out. Earlier today, Rick Farrell was talking about, sex, and Watchtower is always bringing up sex. And so here we have this Canadian. See, here this Canadian guy comes in, because I talk about my 15-minute church, right? And he goes, my wife, and it took me a while because I'm a little bit slow. I'm Mexican, so I have to read things twice. My wife says being finished in 15 minutes is not a good thing. So I had to read it twice, and I thought, oh. This is a joke. He's making fun of me. And those crazy Canadians, that's all they think about is sex.
Well, they have to because it's colder up there.
Yeah, the maple syrup will run slower than up there. It's not so cold.
Yeah.
In Arizona, we got our
it's so hot.
Remember Foghorn Leghorn when the widow hen told him, "I thought you needed my love to keep you warm," and he goes, "Lady, I got my bandages to keep me warm." So, sorry.
No. But you're right about that, because in Arizona, we kick people out. It's hot, right? And in Canada, they snuggle up.
Yep.
What was his name? Foghorn
Leghorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told the widow hen.
Yeah, I remember that.
He goes, "I got my bandages to keep me warm." Yeah.
Bandages.
Remember when he had to raise Junior, and he goes, he could date her if he could take care of Junior. Yeah. And then Junior had a math calculation, and he started, let's play hide and seek. And he started digging over here, and then he dug up Foghorn Leghorn. He goes, "But Junior, I was over there." He goes, "I better not look. I might find myself."
I remember that.
Yeah, that was with the widow hen. And at the end, Junior tears him up. And he doesn't want to date the widow hen no more. And the widow hen goes, "Well, what are you doing? Don't you need my love to keep you warm?" And then he goes, "Lady, I got my bandages to keep me warm." Because Junior had already thrashed him up, man. The widow hen.
Well, I wish I could tell a joke. Oh, well.
Yeah. Hey, Gilbert, so what part of the country is Fixing My Faith in? Is he in
like north of Vancouver, I think?
Oh, man. He's in that beautiful
Northwest.
country.
Never been to Canada. Oh, well. Closest I've been is Seattle and Montana.
I got strip searched in Whistler one time. It was pretty good.
And where? Whistler?
Whistler.
Where's that?
I think it's north of Vancouver.
Oh. I'll take your word for it.
We were on this. Hey, you were from Phoenix. You remember Web Distributing? They used to sell swamp coolers and stuff. They were big in the valley.
Is that they hire the teachers during the summer?
I don't know. They were distributors.
Okay. No.
Yeah. They sold swamp coolers and stuff. Yeah, they were big.
I thought I went to a ghetto school there it was on close to 20th Street on Virginia, which is south of Thomas Road.
What was the name of the school?
William T. Mackin.
William K. Mackin.
It's like built before the war, I think. But once I left, I found out it was like not that far from North High or whatever that high school is. I didn't even know it was there. And the garden club came out to visit us all the time. It's because the country club was a few blocks away. I had no idea.
Did you play Little League?
No.
Pop Warner?
No.
Because you were a witness?
I was a witness.
Wow. At least my dad. See, that was good in a divided home. My dad let us play all that. My mom. You guys had some great baseball teams back then. Yeah. Phoenix.
No, my dad played on the company league, Lucky Stores.
Did you ever drive to Yuma?
What about Yuma?
Did you ever drive to Yuma back then?
No, I've been there, but I was back in the 50s. I was too young to drive.
You remember Stuckey's out in the desert?
I've never seen a Stuckey's before until we were driving back from Kentucky. There was one. I saw a Stuckey's.
There was a Stuckey's between Yuma and Phoenix, about 78 miles out. Yuma. Out in the middle of nowhere, Stuckey's. Yeah. The concrete slab is still there. That's all.
The concrete slab. And then the what about the sign for what is it, or the big question mark billboard that all over everywhere?
Oh, that was yeah, that was going to New Mexico, huh?
Was it? Was it by or past Benson or something?
Yeah, that was the thing.
Wilcox or
remember the thing?
Oh, the thing, that was it. What is the thing?
Yeah.
I never did see that.
We went in there. It was gypped. It was like stuff.
Kind of like the witnesses.
Yeah.
But you find out you're gypped sooner.
Yeah.
I was gypped after 47 years.
Wow. Do you remember the what was the name of that? Gary, the guy that escaped prison. It was about 78. Gary
Remember a Utah guy that got executed? Gary somebody. So I left Arizona in 72, so I don't
72.
My memory kind of quits. So we had a Desert Fox guy that escaped prison in the 60s, and that was his name was Danny Lee Eckert.
Was Goldwater still senator?
He was senator until well into the 80s, I think.
Okay.
Because I remember Denver Post, they ran a story called The Grapefruit Connection, and they were doing an investigative story syndicated across the country about how Goldwater was mobbed up, with the, with bad people running Empire dog track, like whatever.
Yeah, then McCain took over in 80 with he was in the Keating Five, remember?
Yep, I remember that. They got rid of
it was John Glenn.
Who are those people? They had one senator from New Mexico and one from
John Glenn from
Tucson.
Ohio. Yeah.
And they had the old guy from California.
Oh, Scanton, or what was his name?
He sold he sold counterfeit or without paying royalties to Adolf Hitler his Mein Kampf book in English. That's how he got big money.
Gilbert used to distribute that book.
Yeah,
door to door to the Jehovah's.
Oh yeah, there's a video of me when I go. It was right before the hurricanes that hit Houston not so long ago, and I was.
Oh, Harvey.
Yeah, and right before that, about 3-4 months before that happened, I was going door to door to the Kingdom Halls, and I was telling all of the elders that my grandma died, and she's leaving all of this stuff and clothes, food, all kinds of stuff, Watchtower books, Mein Kampf, and nobody was right.
This one black elder caught it.
One black elder says, "Hey, Mein Kampf," and it was funny. But now the problem with fixing my face, saying, "Right on, Jesse, it's cold up here, so what else to do?" when he's referring to sex, this is the problem. Watchtower should be talking about the Awake magazine as our food poison, because rumor has it that erectile dysfunction, that like a huge percentage of men have problem with erectile dysfunction directly caused by poisons in our food. And he's over here saying, what else to do? Well, it looks like if you want to have sex, you probably want to go outside of the United States. That's another thing. And another thing I was going to say is this: tell me if I'm prejudiced. I'm prejudiced. But that guy asked about the Apologia Church. This is the problem I have. I don't know Jeff Durbin from Adam, but look, the dude has a tattoo. He's dressed with jeans and a shirt, and his friend Luke, who's also a co-founder.
Look at that, Luke Pearson. Huh.
Look at his tattoos and his ears. Nothing wrong. I'm not criticizing you, but now you want to lecture me. You see what I'm saying? That's where's the modesty? That's all I'm saying. It's just like
See,
here we have a tattooed love boy, right? Who's telling everybody that he was this and that. When I was a sinner, I visited every prostitute on Van Buren Avenue in Phoenix, and all came fine. But now they're going to lecture me. And I think that's one of the problems ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have. A lot of people leave the Jehovah's Witness church and they're like, I'm tired of being lectured. And now by a tattooed love boy with these things in his ears and everything, I was just like, enough is enough. Enough. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have problems with tattoos. Go ahead.
Oh, they got in trouble for having a fundraiser to help raise money for the mission to save the Hawaiian natives, but they had a whiskey tasting thing, and you can get your tattoo. Get a Cairo. You know what a Cairo tattoo is? No, but there are 2 letters from the Greek alphabet, and you put them on top of each other, and you have to see it looks like a P and an X on together. Episcopalians have it a lot.
Yeah. And I'm cool with it all. Like if you guys want to have tattoos and all that stuff, that's cool with me. It's just, the lecturing me, it's just like, that's
Hey, Gilbert, show me your Roy Orbison tattoo.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you. I just got to get ready.
Gilbert's got a Roy Orbison tattoo on his ass. My mom told him not to get one, but what Mama don't know won't hurt her.
I'm going to have to go find the joke and I got to read it to you because you're old enough.
So hold on. Let me, I got you want to see this tattoo, Jesse?
What's that? Your tattoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So.
Is that anybody I know? That was Roy Orbison?
That was Henry Winkler.
Oh, Henry Winkler.
Mm-hmm.
Did he winkle at you?
No. From the movie The Waterboy.
I didn't see The Waterboy. I've never seen an entire Seinfeld.
Listen. The Waterboy is like, it's like, I don't want to say it's listen, after The Waterboy, the problem is that instead of, we should be quoting Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Matthew 7, stop judging. We should remember, we should commit these things to memory. But when you watch The Waterboy, you're going to be committing to memory a lot of words. That's the bad thing about The Waterboy is that we got our priorities backwards.
So The Waterboy always obeyed his mom.
Yeah.
And Henry Winkler is his coach, and he's telling me, you don't have to always listen to Mom. Mama told me not to get a Roy Orbison tattoo. What Mama don't know will hurt her. So he pulls his pants down and he shows him his Roy Orbison tattoo on his butt.
And so Mama didn't like him having a girlfriend, but he goes, Vicky Valicore showed me her boobies, and I like them. he like Mom couldn't keep a leash on him, and
okay, here's my dad joke for baby boomers. My wife said she was going to divorce me because of my obsession with the monkeys. At first, I thought she was joking, and then I saw her face.
I saw her face. Now she's a believer.
And now he's a believer. Oh, no.
Earlier today, Rick Barron was making the thing about why is Watchtower talking about sex, yada yada. Again, it's another sex thing. And what I believe is the reason Watchtower is talking about sex, about this or that, any subject, masturbation, sex. It's because they want to see who bites. It's a trap. See, it's like so I'll just ignore it. I won't even think about it. I won't talk about it. I'll just mind my business. But the people that kind of like ask questions afterwards, those are the ones that are going to fall for the trap.
Oh, like Sonny. Does it really take 10 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, those are the ones that stick around. Look what Vern's just said, Jesse.
Let me see. It says, Gilbert, I thought you and I share the picture I sent you. Oh my gosh.
And so it is a trap. Watchtower wants to know, like, so say there's 5 elders in the room. They talk about masturbation, oral sex, all that stuff. And then, 3 of them leave, but 2 stay and ask questions. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Or just the
Oh,
general attitude of, oh, go ask your elder for guidance.
it's
Never ask for guidance.
remember the Gideon moment? It's a Gideon moment. It's the trap.
And then you know what? And then you're trained as an elder. You know, when you're in the elder room and you're trained, like we had this one brother. He's our brother-in-law, and he was a circuit overseer, and he would tell this story religiously all the time. That he was up in San Francisco, and he wanted to tell everybody how intelligent he is. I mean, he told everybody how intelligent he was, a genius. And so he was listening to this guy confess about fornication, and he was going to in a judicial committee, and he was sitting in with the elder body, and he's listening and listening and listening, and everybody's asking him questions. And about 3 hours in, he asked him,
No.
you know,
And they were going to say no. They were going to quit the guy, right? They were going to quit the guy. He wasn't going to get this fellowship. And then my brother-in-law, the circuit overseer, says, "Okay, I just have one question." He goes, "Did you have sex with a man or a woman?" And it turned out the guy was referring to a man. It was a male. So it changed the whole story. So he went from being acquitted to guilty, and then the guy pulls out a letter saying that he wants a appeal. So he was already ready to go for round two. Like who has an appeal letter in their jacket? You know, so he tells that story, how smart he is. I'm sorry, Jesse. Did I steal that?
No. But as elders, we were always trained that this is how they. So when the Bible says that, and the Jehovah's Witnesses always preach, if you go to jw.org and read the magazines, they always say that they do only disfellowship unrepentant sinners. So their definition of unrepentant sinners, if they catch you in any lie, that's why they ask so many questions. Like if a sister had fornication, let's say. But when the elders get her and they question her, they're talking about everything: penetration, vaginally, anally, finger. They go into such. So the sister is having sex again, and the guys are having sex again. So let's say she had fornication and she said she had intercourse, missionary style. But then in the course of the investigation, the elders find out that they did it with their finger or something. They're going to disfellowship her because she lied to the elder body. So this is how you're trained as an elder.
Say, talk to my lawyer. It's none of your business.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do. Lawyer up.
But I really think it's a trap in the sense that, because I was lucky never to really be involved in those, but they want to know who's, it's a trap. They're going to get the elders that keep asking questions about this. They're the ones that are going to fall into the trap, you know. So all of those stories that you hear about, like wife swapping and all kinds of dirty stuff that happens in the Watchtower. Well, how do they find these people? Well, they set up traps for them. They're not just going to ask anybody. They're going to set up traps, and then the guy that's always inquisitive is going to be the one that's going to fall for that trap. You know, that's how the homosexuals do it. You think a homosexual, when he goes to a place, you know, he's going to throw a lot of things out there. Most guys are going to ignore him, but one or two guys is going to stick around, and
But here's the thing: when you're an elder, you're everything written down, everything written. It says unrepentant sinner, unrepentant sinner. So you're in the elder book, and you're trained to ask questions. So there's a written law, and then there's the way the elders teach you. There's an oral law. And so a lot of things are passed on by elder to elder to elder to elder. So, like, for instance, the questioning about, I remember being in judicial committees, and when they started questioning a sister about sex, I go, man, I had no writing about that. We had no training on that. That wasn't something that did not exist in the elders' books. It didn't exist in the theocratic writings. It was something that the elders did. They interpreted, and they taught it to the new elders.
Wow. You know, Vern talks about how he calls it the military method of interrogating. One person in and the other person in the lobby. Yeah. Wow. I say the best thing to do if you're ever in an elder body being interrogated and the other person is in the lobby, I think you should just bring, bring the sister in the elder's room, and just get it on and say, "This is how we did it," and show them how it's done. Yeah, that's what if that's what they want to see. Well, no.
Or lie as hell.
I think if you're gonna do it, man, you need to tell a story that's so good it just leaves them foaming at the mouth.
Make them jealous. Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens is when the elders, in the judicial committee, there is a meeting before the judicial committee where they name the committee. When they name the committee, that's already assigned if she's going to get disfellowshipped, or so it's a loaded jury. In other words, the congregation already picks the elders that are going to hang them or forgive them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a political process. It's a political process.
What if you go to a judicial committee and you just lie or give all the X-rated details? And you're just 20-year-olds who just want to have a good time and cheap sex, girls who can't say no, girls who can't get enough. And then the elders are foaming at the mouth.
The old Alka-Seltzer in the mouth joke.
I just want love. And that's why I say, man, let the elders foam at the mouth, man. Have fun with it, that would be great, just to have a woman who's being interrogated by elders and she's recording it and she's just giving them all of the juicy details. And just watching them foam at the mouth. That'll be like a classic video, man, for YouTube, Yeah. But I don't know. I think that's what I would do. If I had to go back, I think, but I was never in it for I never did anything like that dirty, I never did any of that fornication for having to go to a judicial. But I would make up a story. Hell yeah. Give them what they want. Kind of like, remember like that song, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About?
Yeah.
Something, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Was it Bonnie Raitt or somebody?
Yeah, Bonnie Raitt. Yeah, I'll give them something to talk about. Yeah. Yeah. I'll bring in, my briefcase that has all of the sex straps. And this is the ratchet that I use.
or instead of a Tupperware party, it was a lingerie party.
There's this sexual position in Watchtower. There's a sexual position in the Watchtower organization. It's called the Last Days.
The last what?
The Last Days. It never comes.
Go away.
Yeah, that's X-rated. That's the first time I've ever heard you say an X-rated joke.
Sorry.
Wow. There's a first for everything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
the Jehovah's Witness position.
Because this show is on Rick Farron's, we have to keep it more PG, and also we don't do the. That's why on the YouTube clips and other video clips that we have, we silence the because that way he doesn't get hit with any kind of copyright stuff. But yeah, on the other shows that we do on our channel, we're always we just play the whole thing.
Jesse was just giving an example of pornea.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gilbert.
Ha 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 ha.
We should have put it on the Apostle Babe channel. Let's see if she would approve it.
She would have approved it. But,
should we go on and ask her if that's appropriate? Linda will tell us.
Yeah.
Is that an appropriate Jehovah's Witness joke? Uh-huh. That's a late night joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But
hey man, I'm gonna go pass out, Gilbert.
Me too. It's way past my bedtime. It's gonna be 1 o'clock over here.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And we still got diehards that are watching the show.
They fell asleep, I would guess.
But some of these guys work night. Like this guy works at night, so
it's a trap. What, going to bed is a trap?
No, he watches the show during. Yeah.
Isn't it morning in Japan?
No.
You think Tad would be here?
No, it's late night. It's like around. No, it's like around
Yeah.
9 over there. Yeah, no, he's the other
Is
way.
it tomorrow or yesterday in Japan?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
So, yeah, he's still on.
No wonder we beat them. They're always backwards. Next time I talk to Tad, I'm gonna tell you, hey, no matter what, we beat you guys.
See, my mom is 5 hours ahead or behind in Maui, and so that Australia is just like 3 hours different from her, except they're a different day all the time.
What town are you in?
I'm in Larned, Kansas.
Oh.
So
Were you in Hawaii for a long time?
No, I just went to go see my mom.
Oh.
My sister lives there. I have two sisters, one in Scottsdale, one in Maui.
What is Kansas? Is it Central Time?
Central, yeah. The counties that touch Colorado or Mountain, but the rest of the state is Central.
Oh. So you're at 1:45.
I am at 2:47.
Wow. Okay, so we're on Pacific time
You're
right
on
now.
California time.
Yeah, we changed.
California's on Arizona time. Is how
Yeah,
I think of it.
We're on Tulsa time.
Anyway, you're and then in November, then your Denver goes on Arizona time.
Oh.
So then I'll only be 4 hours different from Hawaii. They don't change their clock either.
No, we're movers and shakers. Sonora in Mexico, they stay with Arizona.
Yeah.
But which part of Arizona?
All of Arizona.
No. My brother lives in Navajo County, Arizona, and they have like 3 time zones.
Oh, but they're Navajo.
Except for the little donut in the middle that's Hopi.
Did you hear about those that winter visitor couple that was in Chicago what is it called? The Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
They were sightseeing and they stopped some people and that's back in the days, you'd give them your phone and take a picture.
Uh-huh.
And so go, ma'am, excuse me, would you take a no, I better not. It's too
Go ahead.
No, it's too racist. I can't.
Oh.
I'm
the
sorry.
other one? About what was the other one? Tribes, the Navajo, the who?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah. And the Rapaho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
no, better not say that.
Yeah. It's late, man. Jesse, it's gonna hit 1 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah. Saying too many stupid jokes.
Yeah, and I was gonna do the segment on the Love Guru, but I still haven't done it yet.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bail out.
From the Kickapoo Indian Reservation.
I know. Good night, guys. And
right.
We'll see you later. And we'll get Rick back on the show, and we'll get Rick back. And so, guys, that's it for the night. Unless you guys have questions, you're suffering with your partner, and you need to ask love questions, I will be here to answer them. No, just kidding. It's the last thing I need, like a hole in the head. Rick Farron is asleep. Good for him. And we're just going to close it out. Guys, thanks for coming in. I hope you guys like the show. Good night, Darth Guido. If you have any love questions that you need to get off your chest, let me know. There's a friend of mine who, well, his thing is, man, he shouldn't have done it, man. He hooked up with a woman, right? And she found out while they're in bed. It was funny. She saw something somewhere that said TTATT. I forget where it was at, but she saw it, and she wanted to know, what does that mean? TTATT. And he goes, oh, that's the truth about the truth. She goes, what's that? And he says, well, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm not anymore, yada, yada, yada. Well, she ghosted him. And he was like, man, I love this girl. Yeah, he jumped in the sack real quick. And he thought it was going to be like, I got a winner here. And she just like, I don't want to. And he's like, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not, this is a part of my past. And he called and she's like, So I guess she used to be a jade. Who knows? But when she found out about the truth, she just. So I was thinking, oh, maybe she's physically out, mentally in. I don't know. Physically out, mentally in. Wow. So isn't that a weird story? She ghosts. A woman jumps in a bed with a guy, but ghosts him when she sees the truth about the truth. Wow, what a story. That's about the only other that's about the only other love thing that I've had in the past couple of weeks. Story. Huh. But if you have any love questions, I'll stick around and answer them. Otherwise, we're going to be going. Should you go out with someone if you know? I don't know. No, you shouldn't. Huh? If you know there's something not, because I had this one guy ask me. He goes, Gilbert. He goes, I want to go out with this girl, but I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing sexual. I don't want nothing. But she keeps calling me. I'm like, dude, man, you. I told him, you can't be friends with her because they weren't in a sexual relationship. He told me, but he goes, they were close. But he's like, I was like, dude, you got to go cold turkey. So the question is, can a guy be friends with a woman that he used to be attracted to? Maybe if there's a cooling off period. So I asked him, what's the last time you talked to her? He's like, 2 weeks ago. I'm like, dude, man, you got to wait like a long time. So can a guy still be friends with a woman or a woman with a man after a 2 week? I'm like, no. Even if they say, I go, what if you set the ground rules that, you don't want, no. No, guys can't be friends with women, especially if there was some kind of relationship. Now, can a guy and a girl be friends if they've never had? Just like, hi, how you doing? My name's so and so. My name's so. Yeah. You could be friends, but even then, no. Even then, no. You can be acquaintances, but acquaintances isn't like, hey, let's go have dinner over here. Let's go hang out with. No. Good night, everyone. Yeah, me too. There's 30 people who have their computer on and they're asleep, and the show is on. Fixing My Faith is busy doing something else. Let's see, Cat B. Still I'm friends with the guy after 15 years. He was my ex-husband, not a witness. Always helpful. See, but I would say that you're more acquaintances than you are friends. You're more of an acquaintance. You guys know each other. You're friendly, like with each other. But with your ex-husband, you're not out there going to parties. You're not out there like going to, because with my ex-wife, I tell her to be, the nephews and everybody, the family, everybody loves you. But whenever there's stuff like that, I make sure I'm not there. What do I talk to her? Yeah. Am I friends with her? Yeah. Am I polite with her? Yeah. But I don't go have dinner with her. I don't go. No. Yeah. I don't talk about. I don't ask her if she has a boyfriend, if she's married. I don't have no. So there's boundaries. So can you still be friends? Yes. But even with an ex-husband, I think there's always good to have boundaries. Ricky Bobby, not all of us are asleep. Oh no, we got more people coming in. Not all of us are asleep. I don't know, Kat. Yeah, you could. Yeah, but no. But going to dinner and all that stuff. No. There's a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, that they'll talk about, having. Yeah, my ex-wife came over for dinner and the whole family was here. Look, my ex-wife can come over for dinner and all the family there. I'm just going to politely just go on the other, like yeah. I'll give you an example. When my ex-wife, I made sure she went to her niece's, my side of the family's wedding, well, not wedding, party, right? And but it was at a public place, like at a hotel, and but I made sure that I was like on the other side, so I gave her space, and I gave my space, and I think that's just the best thing to do. That way, everybody feels comfortable, but here's one. I mean, he's proving me wrong. Most of my friends are women, and I'm married. Maybe it's just me, Jay. I can't do it. I can be friends with women, but like if when I was married, I didn't have women friends. I would have women acquaintances, talk. And like, for example, there's a woman that I see like almost every day at work because she's part of, where I work at. And I do a route. So I go, and so I'll see her and I'll talk to her for 60 seconds. That's it. I'm in, do my stuff, and then I'm out. So she's an acquaintance. She's a married woman. There's nothing there. But we're real friendly with each other for 60 seconds and then sign here. I'm gone. So uh, she's a married woman. I don't even think about it. So even though like we get along and we want to talk about that new movie with Demi Moore, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes is pushing it, man. No, but that's just me. That's just how I am. I can't do it, and especially if she's married. If a woman is married, I'm like, man, that's just me. I can't do it. Never go to dinner. He has remarried and hardly see him, but he calls to see how he's going. That I understand that. And if I need help with anything, and no more attraction either way. See, I could respect that. That's cool. That's very cool. And that's I like that. I understand that completely. But yeah, there's boundaries, right? And everybody knows you're going to respect his boundaries, and he's going to respect yours. But yeah, so I agree with Kat. With Jay, I don't know, Jay. Maybe it's just the way I was raised, but I no, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of women, and then they also ask too many damn questions. They want to know. Yeah, 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 yeah. They're gold diggers. Yeah, man, they're gold diggers. Boundaries, though. Okay, boundaries, though. Yeah, man. I talk to girls, man. It's like, damn, they ask me, like interrogation. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like gold diggers, man. Bad, bad. And there's nothing wrong. Women. I remember one time a girl. She's not my girlfriend, but just talked to her, and she says something. She goes, "Girls want nice things, and guys should give girls nice things." And I thought, that's true. That's true. Girls deserve nice things, but when that preface a relationship, you preface a relationship. A girl is prefacing a relationship with saying that she deserves nice things as a female. No, no, that's like later, right? That's like after you've been married, and she's like, "Hey, honey, I've been taking care of you. You need to go work harder. You need to, get that promotion. Whatever. Just." But man, when you preface a relationship saying that you want more, I don't know, man. That's like a major turnoff, major, major turn. Like major turn, turn off. Uh, so I guess everybody's fine. Nobody has uh, love questions. That would be good for a Sunday show, huh? Maybe, yeah. 29 people are still here, and I mentally can't keep up. Hmm. All right. All right. Okay, guys, boundaries. I gotta be more prepared next time for the love guru questions. Like the Jehovah's Witnesses always. I hear all the XJWs always complain about the chaperone. You know, when I my brother Jesse and I, we used to chaperone little kids, our older sister. We just were chaperoning to make sure she didn't get pregnant. You know, but they would always like, we would always leave our sister alone. So I think the purpose of a chaperone is just to make sure you don't get pregnant. Doesn't mean you have to be there all the time. But I noticed that this thing I hear all the time with the ex Jehovah's Witnesses, with the chaperones, it's all English. In the English congregation, man, you guys are weird. You guys had some weird people with some crazy rules. In the Spanish congregation, the whole thing was just don't let her get pregnant. So you guys can do whatever you want, yada yada. You just can't get the girl pregnant. That's what the chaperone was there for. It wasn't there to listen to you guys talk or to be, no. It was just so a 14-year-old kid, 13-year-old, 6-year-old could be your chaperone. Anybody could be your chaperone. It's just you can't give the kid, some NyQuil and put him to bed while you get it on. No. That was the whole purpose. Is like the reason somebody's with you is you don't get pregnant. With the English, it's weird. You guys talk about it like somebody was always with you. So, so when I listen to you guys talk about chaperones, I'm always like, wow, that was never my experience. When I was dating and had the chaperone, that's what it was. There were sometimes it was my brother-in-law. He was a lot younger. Now, when I go out with women, I have a chaperone because I don't want to be raped. So, just, women now, man, like, ah! No, just kidding. I just want to see if anybody's listening to that stupid comment. That's funny. But you know what? Yeah, you have to be careful, man. When you get older, women are more sexually have more sexual, desires and sexual appetite. So I would say an older man, in his 50s would need a chaperone because a woman would be, trying to take advantage of him. So that would be my opinion. I would advise get a chaperone. All right, guys, that's it in the chat section. You don't have anything more to say? We'll cut it out. I'm waiting for Rick to shut it down. Rick, if you can hear me, let's shut this baby down. Unless you guys have love questions, and I'll answer them online. But hey, that's just my take on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Talking about sex. Rick was talking about that earlier today. They want to know who the people are that are going to be asking questions. Well, brother, what does that mean? What does this mean, brother? Those are the ones. No blankets when dating a JW woman. Pornea will happen right in front of the chaperone. No blankets. I mean, come on. I mean, come on. And when you go buy a brand new car, you're allowed to sit in the seat. You're allowed to kick the tires, right? Open up the hood, and what if she stinks? Like, yeah, that's nasty. And what if he stinks? And she's like, oh, dang, that's nasty. At least you're like, I'm sorry. Why? Because you stink. So maybe there's no blankets. Well, maybe blankets are good. Maybe maybe blankets are good. Maybe it's not pornea. What you're doing is just you're yeah. Maybe it's not pornea. Dang. I've heard stories. People in body odor, right? So you may want to know beforehand. So yeah, says it will happen right in front of the chaperone. No, because that would be excessive. That would be excessive. And then I don't know. that'd be excessive.